Welcome to the regularly scheduled public meeting of February 6, 2023 of the Township of Washington Township Council. Adequate notice of the meeting was given in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act by the Township Clerk to at least 2 newspapers in January, and this meeting has been posted on the Township Bulletin Board, electronic message board, WCTV, and on the Township website. Please notify the municipal clerk for any disability requirements necessary for attendance at mayor and council meetings. The fire exits are located through the double doors to your right and through the door on your left. Please silence all cell phones. Salute to the flag. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sue, roll call.
Councilman Casio.
Here.
Councilwoman Feeney. Here. Councilman Sears.
Here.
Councilwoman Velez.
Here.
Council President Morgan.
Here. Let the record reflect also in attendance Mayor Calamari, Township Administrator DeCarlo, Township Attorney Poller, and Township Clerk Witkowski. New Community Alert System. Receive community information instantly. Sign up at nixle.com. Nixle replaces Swift Reach. That's NIXLE.com. The Green Team and the Middle School Environmental Club have teamed up to collect old sneakers and shoes for a project called Souls for Souls. This project will generate funds for the Environmental Club. If you would like to donate, boxes are located at Town Hall and at the Township Library. The Green Team has partnered with the Township Library to start a Trex recycling program. This program will allow residents to drop off plastic bags in a bin for recycling. The bags will be weighed monthly. Once the goal is reached, Trex will donate a park bench or a table to the township. The program began February 1st. The bins will be located at the Township Library. As per ordinance number 22-18, tree vendors must be registered to work in the township. Please visit our website for the tree vendor application. Quarter 1 taxes were due February 1st. The tax office will be open on the last day of the grace period, February 10th until 6 p.m. Please note our elevator is out of service. The drop box is open 24/7 for any correspondence. Please label accordingly. Resident Appreciation Weekend will be held on February 10th, 11th, and 12th. Please visit our website for planned activities. 2023 animal license renewals were mailed out in late December. Please note the $5 late fee began on February 1st. 2023 township calendars have also been mailed out. Town Hall will be closed on Monday, February 20th for President's Day. The Township of Washington Ambulance Corps is looking for volunteers. If you can volunteer, please call WTVAC headquarters at 201-664-3784. Leave a message and either President Bob Ehlers or Captain Trevor Landau will return your call. The next council meeting will be held on Tuesday, February 21st at 7:30 p.m. The mayor has some appointments.
Thank you. Yes. Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for coming. Let me just get the paperwork done before we get into the actual ceremony. So I have 2 appointments this evening. So to the council president and the council of the Township of Washington, please be advised that having received the recommendation and endorsement for appointment of the following person from the Director of Public Safety, I am hereby approving the following person to the office position set forth below. Jason Guger to the office of Sergeant, effective date February 1st, 2023. And then the next one, please be advised that I'm appointing the following citizen for the position set forth below. Fire Inspector of the Department of Fire Prevention, Richard Cravallo, filling the unexpired term of December 31st, 2023. Now we can get on with the good stuff.
Good evening and welcome, everybody. I want to welcome all the members of the Washington Township Police Department that are here tonight. I'd like to welcome the members of the Washington Township Fire Department that are also here to support Jason. If you notice that the police are getting younger, but the firefighters are getting even younger. Probably coached half of you in baseball back in the day. Benny Montalbano, if you ever got to come to my house, your fireman carry me out of the house, right? You got me? I can handle it. Okay, so we want to promote Jason Guger tonight, but I did want to just talk a little bit about Jason and his career. Jason is a graduate of the New Jersey City University. Tom Sears and I would remember that as Jersey City State. So Jason was hired here in July of 2002. 2019, he was promoted to the rank of corporal, and then we put him into the detective bureau. As a detective, Jason's done a lot of good work for us. Jason's investigated everything from petty disorderly persons offenses to homicides. He's in our internal affairs unit. He's our juvenile officer. He's a field training officer. He's our humane law enforcement officer. He's our animal cop also. And he just does a lot of stuff. He's an active shooter trainer. And he also conducts our evidence, which he's going to be shortly turning over now that we send him back to patrol. And he's also our Megan's Law officer, so he tracks all the people that are registered through that. I think the key to Jason is his experience. You know, Jason is one of the most experienced police officers we have here. We have a technical law enforcement term for Jason's experience. We call it the black cloud. Anytime something happens that's bad in Washington Township, Jason's on duty. That's just the way it goes. And I want to thank him on a personal level because before Jason got here, I was the black cloud. I was happy to pass it on to Jason, and I think Jason now has actually passed it on, so it's good. But you know, that's actually reflected in some of the awards that Jason has received. Jason has numerous apprehension awards. He has numerous life-saving awards. He has 2 medals of valor. He has 2 combat crosses, and he has, you know, numerous unit citations. So basically, over the last 15, 16 years, when it went bad, Jason was working and he took care of it. And Jason was always there to take care of business. So that's really the most important part of it. And, you know, I just can't say enough about Jason. I think we're going to have his family come up here. I explained to Jordan that there's a youngest daughter speech that you ready? No? All right, we're going to let you off the hook on that one. But Jason, congratulations, and why don't you come on up and we'll swear you in.
Here, I'll hold it. No, never mind. Give it to her. My hands are burned.
So, left hand on the Bible, right hand in the air. Yes.
I, Jason Guger,
Do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of New Jersey,
of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith
and that I will bear true faith
and allegiance
and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and to the governments established
and to the governments established
in the United States
in the United States
and in this state
and in this state
under the authority of the people,
under the authority of the people,
and that I do solemnly swear
and that I do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties of
all the duties of sergeant
in the Township of Washington,
in the Township of Washington,
in the County of Bergen,
in the County of Bergen,
in the State of New Jersey,
in the State of New Jersey,
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
In closing, I just want to thank the council president and the entire council for having us here tonight. Thank you for allowing us to make this rank. I want to thank Public Safety Director Jim Giblin and the mayor for taking our recommendations and for allowing us to conduct the promotional process and put Jason's name forward. So, you know, mayor and council, thank you. Mark, thank you. And everybody have a great night. Thank you.
Chief, just
Congrats.
stick
Thank you,
around
Reggie.
if you
Thank you,
could.
everyone.
Chief Skinner, if you could just stick around for a minute. Yeah, thank you. Suspend that. Okay. Congratulations.
Speech.
He skipped Sue.
Congratulations.
Awesome, well deserved. Okay.
That's it, everybody can leave.
No, I'm actually going to motion to suspend the order of business for Chief Skinner because he's present, so we can discuss the changes, establishing the parking restrictions on portions of Wayne Place and White Birch Road. So if you are not interested in that, by all means, you do not have to stay. But Chief, I'm going to ask that you just stay to help. Okay. All right. Can I have a second? Can someone second?
Second.
Okay. Roll call, Sue?
How about all in favor?
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
I know where it is. I've been there.
Roll into that, that's my question. That's fine. Okay. Where? At the podium? Okay, at the podium.
Yeah, I got a box on that one, got a box on my brother's. Wind up with everyone last year, nothing.
No, you wanted to bless.
Yeah, well, yeah, just listen.
Okay. All right, we're going to keep it moving. Chief, you're going to discuss the Wayne Place and White Birch Road Ordinance 23-02. If you could just talk to us about that.
Absolutely, yeah. So I think Mr. Poller has it ready, but the mayor asked if I would just go over a few things rather than just, introduce the ordinance right off. So we're dealing with a lot of traffic and parking issues in the area of Washington School. As we know, the school population has grown a little bit, and of course, nobody walks to school anymore. So we have a couple traffic issues that I wanted to address. So just to keep it simple for the council, I gave you guys some maps with some highlighted sections. So on Wayne Place, where you see the pink highlighter, that's going to be the west side of Wayne Place. That's always been no parking. What we want to do on Wayne is just add a small section of no parking. You'll see the small yellow highlight on Wayne Place. That's really a line of sight issue. That'll give us more room to be able to see past where those cars are parked. Those cars kind of block vision. The other issue is that Washington School not only has the population gone up a little bit, but they've changed their drop-off procedure where they open an additional door. So a lot of people are parking on White Birch. We've had multiple meetings with the residents of White Birch, and based on some meetings with John Kimmick, our engineer, and with my traffic sergeant, Mike Locke, we're recommending that we make this portion, this yellow highlighted portion of White Birch, no parking zone for school days only, similar to what we have, say, over at George School. I think the big issue with Washington School is that there's really only one drop-off in front of a Washington School where, for example, our high school, there's two entrances for people to come in and drop off. At George School, there's a drop-off on both sides also. So this parking ordinance, I think, is just going to make the environment a lot safer over there. Right now, unfortunately, we have, mothers with strollers competing in the street with traffic to get their kids to school. So this is, I think, the first step to just making it safer. And I know that Mr. Poller, hey, Ken, Mr. Poller wrote the ordinance, and that's what we're looking to do. I can
So-
answer questions if you have any.
I have some.
Yes.
I don't want to jump in front of anyone, but I didn't have, my kids didn't go to Washington. They went to George. So like you're talking about when we did the wraparound and we dropped off, it was very close to the door of the entrance. So for these parents, the plan is they drop them off at the bottom and the kids walk up the steps to the school? Or what is the plan for the
So
parents now that they can't
on,
walk them?
Right now on School Street, there's a drop-off zone,
Right.
and then there's a parking area where you can park, and then you walk your kids up
Oh,
the
you
hill.
can still park all the
Yeah,
way
you
up
can
there.
still
Okay.
park all the way down.
Okay.
Problem is, there's just more cars parking now, and that's what's creating the problem on White Birch.
So
Okay.
this is just one side of White Birch, right? It's just the one, you're not gonna restrict on both sides.
Right now, we're gonna make it one side of White Birch and only on school days. So if you read the ordinance, I believe it's, 8 to 4 school days.
Okay.
I think the addition to the other, the place on Cool Street is good because that always gets congested. If you can't, kids crossing the street, the parents can't see whose cars are pulling out. So I agree with that.
Right, yeah, the big issue there, again, is a line of sight issue. With the cars blocking sight, we have people that are kind of coming out from behind the cars into the street, which is not good at the moment. Good thing too, I'm not sure if you're going to decide to introduce this tonight, but if anybody wants to take a field trip, I'd be more than happy to show you what we're talking about over there in person. Mark and the mayor.
Question,
have,
Council
Yeah,
President.
of course.
Chief, you
Yes, sir.
still allowing parking on both sides of School Street?
No,
No.
there is no parking on the north side of School Street. That is actually coned off every morning.
Okay. Thank you.
Ma'am?
Yeah.
As a parent at Washington School, I know that the traffic has become quite a problem. But for somebody like myself, like a kindergartner who has to walk to go get them and several other parents, parking with the restrictions in place already has become a challenge for parents. So I'm just trying to find a happy medium for those parents like myself who have to travel. Because I don't, I get out of work pretty late, so I get there right at 3:15 usually, and school lets out at 5:20. So I find myself rushing up the hill.
What time?
3:20.
3:20, yeah.
3:20. So somebody like myself is already rushing, and now if we're restricted with more parking, and I know there are parents like myself in the same situation, just wondering, where do we park? Because right now I'm almost down by the corner by the crossing guard on Pascal.
Yeah, that was my only thought as well, just because it's built so much differently than Washington School. You didn't park there, but you could loop around and safely pick up your kid. You just waited online a little bit longer. I mean, George School.
So it just makes it difficult for somebody in that situation where they're rushing to get to school on time and then now you're late to pick up your kid. So what kind of communication is being made with the school itself so that they can anticipate that this is gonna put parents like myself?
Yeah, so we did have, I did meet with the intern principal at Washington School, and I met with the school superintendent. And not only did we discuss the current issue, but also that, there's potential for Washington School to expand in the next 2 to 3 years, which is, obviously going to make matters worse than they are now. So, this was kind of a collaborative effort of, like I said, my traffic sergeant, Mike Locke, myself, people from the school. We feel this is what we need to do to make the environment more safe. I realize that is going to cut down on parking. You can still park on Eastview Terrace. You could park on School Street, on the upper part of School Street, which is above the school. You walk through the path up top there.
I totally get it. There is a problem. It is a problem, like you said, moms with strollers. So it's definitely, but I'm seeing the other side of it too. Because for somebody, again, like myself, I will park on the other side of that hill. And that I have to go all the way to Jackson sometimes to park. So by the time I walk down, I'm looking at 3:25 and the teachers are kind of like.
Council President, just curious,
my daughter doesn't go to Washington School anymore, but I was, understand with Daisy exactly what's going on. And I've noticed some other schools in the area. I don't know if this has been broached with the school. Is there a way to stagger release of the kids? So like I know one school in the area does kindergarten, first and second, gives like 10 minutes. And then the other, it goes in that direction. Because then it allows for parents to come and go a little quicker. Or like the older grades who walk down and get in the car as they go out Washington and the parents drive by and pick them up. Something along those lines where the younger kids, the parents have to walk to the classrooms. I don't know. It's just an option. I don't know if it's something you could talk with the superintendent and the interim principal about.
Yeah, I spoke to the superintendent about a staggered drop-off because I know there's other schools that do that.
Yeah.
She explained to me that the problem with that is that teachers only work a certain number of hours,
Okay.
and to extend the school day would be a problem, a labor problem with with the school's teachers union.
Maybe the school board would be open to adjusting something. I mean, because it is exceptionally tight. Washington School it's the tightest. In the morning,
And listen, it's just going to get worse.
I know.
So there are some other things that we're looking at that we'll probably come back to a future meeting and discuss. I did have a very preliminary discussion with the superintendent about the possibilities when the school expands in 2 or 3 years. Is there a way to put a driveway around the back of the school and back out? And that's something I think we could cooperatively work on with the school, but we're a few years away from that. Right now, my concern is that I literally have people popping out from behind cars with baby strollers and people driving by, and I'm afraid that frankly somebody's going to get injured. And this is the best solution that we've come up with, given the circumstances that we're in.
Councilman
I
Sears.
think you did a great job. So.
Go ahead, Councilman Sears.
Yeah, I have seen parents parking down in Memorial Field by the football house.
Yeah.
I have seen several cars where the kids would walk down and go right across the field. So if you could park in there and
I actually do that
got a
also.
straight shot straight up.
I'm
Yeah.
part of all the secrets,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Councilman Casio.
Well, the secret's out.
This is not a new issue. Going back eons ago when I was first on council, we discussed heavily, and Ken would probably remember this. We talked about putting sidewalks, if you remember.
Absolutely.
Putting sidewalks on at least Wayne Place, and expanding it or putting a bike lane or something there, if you recall that.
Yes.
The residents obviously didn't like that, it didn't go through. But again, that's another alternative. It's very cost ineffective, but it is safer. You're not having the pedestrians in the street, but it didn't fly then. I don't think it's going to fly now. But that's something that we did discuss. This is not a new problem. Every cycle that comes up, we have an expansion and an increase in enrollment. Parking's a problem. Then it seems to wane a little bit, and it's a problem. So it's a cyclic issue that we have. The nice thing about this, if for some reason the enrollment goes down, which it does, it'll go down in a couple of years before it goes, first it'll go up. You can take those parking restrictions away. So again, it's something that is not new to this area. So, and I have no problem with restricting it.
Yeah, and Steve, just for the record, thanks for remembering back that far. I would wholeheartedly agree with sidewalks. The fact that we have two main streets that come to a school. It's the main artery coming to school. It doesn't have sidewalks. It's something that we do really have to address.
Okay.
And again, if anybody wants to take a trip over there, I can show you exactly what we're talking about. But given the current situation, this is really the best solution that we come up with. But I think this is going to be the start of a bigger conversation.
And at that time, I think we were looking at your interest with the Safe Pathways to School. I believe we were looking at funding or some type of sponsorship with the state doing that at the time. But I don't know where that, if they still have that program, how it lies.
Program's still alive.
How it would work with us. But that's, an option if you want to look into it, Councilman Sears, we can work on that together. So, that's all.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks. So, I'm not sure how you're going to do it if Ken's going to introduce it tonight, but I'm around all week if anybody has questions. Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to go back to the agenda. We have a proclamation, right? The Arbor Day.
Yes, thank you. Before I read the proclamation, I just want to say how proud I am of the Green Team. That was one of the first things that I started when I became mayor, and with Councilman Sears' amazing help, The Green Team has really, breathed a lot of life into the community as far as saving trees and looking out for our canopy. So I just want to put that out there before I read this proclamation. So thank you, Tom, for your work and all the work of the team.
Thank you, Mayor.
Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees. And whereas this holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska. And whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world. And whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce life-giving oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are renewable resource giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now, therefore, I, Peter Calamari, Mayor of the Township of Washington, do hereby proclaim April 22nd, 2023 as Arbor Day, and I urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. And further, I urge all citizens to plant trees to gladden the heart and promote well-being of this and future generations. Thank you.
Thank you. Report of the administrator.
Thank you, Council President.
Thank you, Council President. My report focuses on the concerns and questions from last council meeting. It's going to begin with the resident concerns. First one was the resident concerns regarding speeding on Ridgewood Boulevard East. Chief Skinner was made aware of the concern. He has directed his patrols to address the concern. I requested the chief to please provide some data to report back to the council for our next meeting. It mostly was when there was detours in effect. Mr. Agnello's concerns. Township Engineer John Yukimic and I met with Mr. Agnello on Tuesday, January 24th. He had several concerns listing. One was the stockpile of dirt at the intersection. The pile of dirt has since been removed, I think, last Thursday or Friday. Second concern of Mr. Agnello was the potential spreading of the dirt that was in the pile on the property. The contractor there has assured me in writing that no dirt was spread out. However, there was times during heavy rain where the machines would make ruts in the dirt and they would have to essentially repair the area for them to drive over. He also made reference to the what he was calling the zombie houses. We don't have an ordinance for zombie houses. It would fall under nuisance properties. Our code enforcement officer worked to address all homes within Township of Washington that would fall under that nuisance property. And I'm glad to say our code enforcement officer sent out 7 letters with the 3 homes on Pascack and Washington. That is 3 of those 7. Mr. Agnello also had a concern about the C1 waterway. As we learned at a previous meeting, the applicant appealed to DEP and was granted the appeal to remove the C1 waterway, and now I guess it's just a waterway. So there's no restrictions there that would normally come with a C1 waterway. Last concern that Mr. Agnello has was the easement, that the existence of an easement or not an easement on the properties of Meissen on his roadway. And we're still working with that. We hope to get back to Mr. Agnello tomorrow in writing with myself and Mr. Yukimic. We then had a concern from Mr. Lemkin with his billing at Boswell Engineering. I requested a meeting with Mr. Lemkin and John Yukimic so that I could fully understand the problem. We were able to do so. Amount was agreed on. The resolution is actually on the agenda for this evening, Resolution 23-163, with a reimbursement back to Mr. Lemkin for $1,264. Fourth, there was a concern by Mr. Ullman regarding application certification of payments. I did reach out to Mr. Ullman via email. I may have had the wrong email. However, me and the architect were able to watch the video back from that meeting, and figure out the question that was being asked. So the architect, Mr. Conley, did some research, and I quoted him in my report back to council that he essentially is a typo on the previous paid amount on application 22. Typographical error was changed on the application. He assured me that there was no inappropriate exchange of money or overpaying. However, Mr. Ullman was correct in what he located, the discrepancy, and there was a typo on pay application 22 in column D, line 43. Next was the topic of no parking on Finnerty Place, brought up by Mrs. Lipnick. Township Clerk Wachowski was able to assist me with notes from previous council meetings regarding the topic. At that time, it seemed as though a majority of the council was in favor of no standing or parking the entire length of Finnerty Place on the south side curb. And the mayor and I share the same recommendation. Chief Skinner did as well. However, he just wanted to remind that it may shift the problem to another side street if we do so. I'd respectfully ask the council's guidance as to whether they would like for me to work with Mr. Poller on the ordinance revision or the council. I have no objections in doing either. Just let me know. As far as updates, with the assistance of our grant writer, David Buno, who was here this evening, we have completed the necessary paperwork in order to receive our grant reimbursement from CDBG in the sum of $24,370 for the Sherry Field ADA improvements. We should be receiving those funds shortly. Also happy to announce during the first week, administration met with Robert Barbarino from Valley National Bank. During the meeting, our current interest rate was discussed, and we were able to secure an interest rate increase from the current 0.85% to an increase to 3.75% effective January 2nd, 2023. On January 20, 2023, Township Engineer John Yakimic and I met with representative of PSE&G in order to discuss their 2023 gas system upgrades. Township has been successful in the past few years in prolonging the upgrades. However, this year, the upgrades must be conducted. The upgrade project is all-inclusive, and the streets listed have to be done together. I believe I put asterisks there, but I think it's a total of 18 streets will be affected by the upgrade, which is due to begin in March, lasting until the fall. On a list of streets, 2 township roads will fall under the moratorium. Those streets are Hudson and Robinwood. If you are unaware in situations such as this, PSE&G will repave the entire surface of the road curb to curb. All other streets, PSE&G will pay for half the cost to resurface curb to curb. PSE&G conducted a gas system upgrade in 2020. As a result, the township received an increase in linear footage of paving with no increase to cost of the township. In the near future, the mayor will be providing the recommended streets for resurfacing during the 2023 road program. Additionally, PSE&G Public Relations was with us with this meeting, and they will assist the township in providing communication to our residents regarding the upgrade, necessity for it, and how the resident may be affected. I did provide council with an attachment, which was the copy of the information sheet that is printed in English and Spanish. There's also a door hanger pamphlet as well. Subsequent to this report, we were also given information from PSE&G that we put on our social media sites. It's been explained to me by PSE&G that there is a benefit to all residents through increasing capacity and covering the cost of placing the meter on the outside of the home if it is currently located on the inside. This is an extreme cost saving to the resident. And that is my report.
Mark, I just want to say that I really appreciate how thorough you are. And if anybody noticed, there has been a change to the report. I've asked that the administrator give his update as well, because a lot of questions get asked and answered, but a lot of the general public doesn't get to hear some of those answers. So I feel it's really important to kind of put it out there. And I think you add a lot of value to the meeting. So I appreciate that. It was a really good report. Mr. Mayor?
Thank you again. Again, thank you everyone for taking time to attend the meeting. Police Department news. The accreditation process for the department continues to move ahead. Members of the department are back out at the intersection of Pascack and Washington, supporting the safety needs of the Verizon crews moving wires off the old poles. An additional crossing guard has been hired to staff the intersection of School Street and White Birch Road. New portable traffic signs were deployed to slow traffic on Colonial Boulevard, Beach Street, Sussex Road, Chestnut Street, and Cleveland Avenue. The department took delivery of a portable radar unit to conduct unmonitored traffic volume and speed surveys. The SLEO 2s have completed their traffic training. Last but certainly not least, Officer William Jackson retired on February 1st. We thank him for his service to the township, and we wish him well. Recreation news. The basketball program is just about at its mid-season point. We thank all the volunteers who give of their time to make it a successful program. Lacrosse registration will be closing on Friday, February 10th. If you would like to volunteer to help with the program, please contact Dan Scuderi. The Fun with Art program is returning for a second season. Registration opened on February 3rd. Please visit the recreation section of the town website and the official Public Affairs and Recreation Facebook page for more details on these programs. Fire Department news. The department is happy to report they had a relatively quiet month as far as emergency calls go. They held their annual Chiefs Dinner, during which their officers and new members were sworn in. The council and I are grateful to be invited to this event. New emergency services building news. We hope what will be the final change order for the project is on tonight's agenda for the council's approval. The contractor expects to be finished by the end of the month. That will enable the ambulance corps to commence operations from the new building. I sincerely appreciate their patience and understanding while the facility is being completed. DPW news. The department stands ready for any snow event that Mother Nature may bring our way. They completed the holiday tree collection. They are performing scheduled inspections of both sewers and catch basins. A street sweeping took place the week of January 23rd, and the staff is also currently taking their training classes. DPW facility news. The architect, engineer, and senior department members are working together on many behind-the-scenes items for their new building. Updates will be provided as they are received. Intersection news. After a significant delay, Verizon has been on site moving wires from the old to the new poles. Weather permitting, the contractor looks forward to resuming progress. Please continue to check the town website and Facebook page for daily updates regarding detours in the area. Library news. Last month, the library board completed its annual organization meeting and kicked off its winter programming. Lots of great weekly programs and special events are taking place. Wednesday, February 1st, they had a presentation from AARP regarding tax law changes, assistance, and preparation. Saturday, February 11th, they have a tea blending workshop. Please check the library website and/or newsletter for more programs and details. Due to the large number of events and programs, the library will be sending out their newsletter every other month starting this year. Unfortunately, library movies are temporarily paused as they replace the projector, which recently broke. They thank everyone for their patience. Municipal Alliance news. Municipal Alliance has completed the first year of the Division of Mental Health and Addiction Services grant. The grant provided for an anti-vaping program at the high school, a mental health program at Jesse George Elementary School, and a web resource called Second Step for all kindergarten through fifth grade Westwood Regional School District teachers. Second Step is a program offered by the Committee for Children and focuses on research-based social emotional learning. This program covers a variety of topics from problem solving, emotional management, empathy, and kindness, and many more. The next round of programs for the grant will be executed in the fall of this year. Traditional programs kick off in February, so stay tuned for updates coming shortly. The grant was redrafted this year for new programs that better work with the new school curriculum surrounding bullying and mental health. Grants. An application was made of the New Jersey Department of Community Affairs Local Recreation Improvement Grant Fund on January 20th, requesting $68,300 for preliminary design and site investigation purposes at the swim club location. I want to thank the council for approving the grant writer to apply for said grant. The Recreation Advisory Board held its first meeting regarding the swim club property. Many good initial ideas were exchanged. The board will continue their work for a few more meetings before holding a public meeting. The droning of the Musquappsink Brook has been completed. The engineers are now reviewing the footage to make recommendations to the township. The elevator in Town Hall is out of service. It is as old as the building, and parts are no longer available for it. While the company that services the elevator is attempting to rebuild the control panel, they are also preparing a cost estimate to replace the elevator. While it is out of service, if you require assistance and cannot use the stairs, please call the department you are visiting, and every attempt will be made to promptly meet you in the lobby, sorry, not the library, to conduct your business. The phone numbers for the departments are posted in the lobby. We thank you for your cooperation and patience while we work on getting this issue resolved. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. Okay, Councilman Casio?
Yeah, I have no report tonight.
Okay. Councilwoman Feeney?
Yes, thank you. Just one thing tonight, I'm working to expand with some residents in town, the senior meals program into a few other activities and for some volunteers. More information will be out in the next month or so, but if you're interested in volunteering, please email me or call my cell phone. The people who have already volunteered and already signed up, I do have you on the list, but I am looking for additional volunteers. I am looking for people to make Valentine's Day cards and also to help with the Valentine's Day project. So if you're interested, please email me. Some high school students would be great, some grammar school kids, whoever is interested, please give me a shout. And we will probably be meeting next week. So if you're available, please give me a call. And I just want to say thank you very much to the fire department, the ambulance corps. It's great to see that we have such a wonderful community. And they love to celebrate the people they work with and volunteer with. So thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you. Councilman Sears?
Thank you, Council President. Let me echo Council President Morgan's comments about the Township Administrator, Mr. DiCarlo. An outstanding job on your report, and I can honestly say when I do have a problem, he actually gets back to me within a day. Thank you, Mr. DiCarlo. Outstanding job you're doing. I'm going to bring to your attention that the library will now be collecting plastic bags as part of our Trek program. There's a box, it's actually on the screen. There's a box in the library. We have 3 boxes that will be deployed throughout the community. Right now, it's strictly at the library until we figure out where we're going to put it up here at the township. I just want to add that the library and Fresh Grocer and the Green Team are actually working on this project. We will collect the bags, weigh them. We will put that on our dashboard. And Fresh Grocer has agreed to accept our plastic bags to do the recycling. So we really will have to do the recycling, but we will get all the credits for the plastic bags that are dropped off. So that should be a great benefit for the library because they're looking for things to expand. So thank you on that. The second thing is the Green Team will have a full meeting in March. If anybody is interested to be part of the Green Team, please email me. We're going to be setting up our programs. Of course, Lorianne Roberts is my secretary, and she's out there now. And she'll be working on new members for me. Thank you, Lorianne, for taking that project on. Styrofoam collection. Ridgewood now has passed their ordinance. They have process with the attorneys, and we should be receiving, the mayor should be receiving paperwork on a joint project with Ridgewood. We will take our styrofoam over to Ridgewood, and they will collect it and process it for us. So hopefully we can have that project up and running in March. I was talking to the administrator in Ridgewood, and they said they will get the paperwork out to us within a week or two. So that's a big bonus for us. Health Day, April the 15th. Tomorrow we have a meeting at the library to get our flyer up and running. We will be sending it out to all of the health units within the town, also hospitals, and Council President Morgan is also on that team. So if you know any hospital, any medical group that would like to be part of Health Day, please give me a call. We will send them a flyer out. And again, Lorianne will be taking care of the paperwork on that. We do have a 5K run that day, and I will be leaving that up to Councilwoman Velez to talk about the 5K run that day. So thank you, and that's it, Council President.
Okay, I just have one question for the Health Day, for hospitals who are interested. If you have somebody who's interested, do we just filter it to you, or is Lorianne taking?
Well, we'll do both. I'll take it, and then she'll work with me.
You're being voluntold
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah, just send them over to my address, and
Okay.
we'll
Your
get
email, you want an email?
yeah, the township email. Okay, and we'll send them out the paperwork to register for. Mhm. And that's thank Bethany for Community Center for allowing us to use their property and their building for the whole day.
Okay.
So thank you, Council President.
Thank you. Councilwoman Velez?
Yes, thank you. All right, first I want to thank the fire department and ambulance for inviting me to the installation dinners back in January. I appreciate that invitation. I love to support you guys and gals. It's always nice to see the fire ambulance come together for a positive event like that. So once again, thank you for the invitation. In terms of age-friendly, I've been working on this for quite some time. I met with Kathy Kuzma last month. She's from the North Jersey Village Movement, and we went over a game plan for some of the age-friendly village movement ideas that we want to continue bringing to the residents of Township. So stay tuned for those details. They will be up and coming. Mrs. Libnick, I have great news for you. So we officially will have our book bin placed at Town Hall. The mayor and I met Matt last week, and we officially finally picked a location. The bin has been ordered, and it is set to arrive at the end of this month and placed shortly after. So hopefully we're looking at a March installation. I want to thank the mayor for supporting that endeavor. I know it's been quite some time, so thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for Mrs. Lipnick for staying on top of us and making sure we see this through. And also Councilman Sears, thank you for going around and scouting some spots with me. I appreciate you being on board with that as well. So I told you it'll happen. It's finally going to happen. I know. So if you do have books at home that you are willing to donate, just hold them a few more weeks and bring them. It really will benefit our town, and it'll put the books into good use and be recycled.
Is it any kind of books?
Yeah, basically you could put any kind of books, and then they will figure it out. They have, most books have a SKU, and then the company will scan the books. So regardless, the town will receive a small check, but if not, we receive 15% of the sales.
Great.
So it's a really good move. So thank you. Resident Appreciation Weekend, as Council President Morgan mentioned in the opening in the PSA, it is back for its second year. It's something that we brought to the township. I asked the mayor, once again, he was very supportive of the idea. So this year it's back, and it's 3 days, as was mentioned. Friday, February 10th, we have partnered up with Conrad's and the library. So Conrad's will be here in front of Town Hall from 4 to 6 p.m. Serving hot chocolate. And they have quite a presentation and a delicious chocolate. And the library will be providing crafts. So come on down, 4 to 6 on Friday, right here in front of Town Hall. On Saturday, February 11th, we have partnered up with David's Bagels from 9 to 11 a.m. Come and get your bagel. One complimentary bagel, of course, while supplies last. And then on Sunday, February 12th, we've partnered up with the Township Theater. We will be offering a morning family-friendly movie. Registration is required. If you go to the website, you will just click on the link, and it'll send you over to the Eventbrite link, which will allow you to register. It includes popcorn, water, and a snack. So we welcome all of you to attend. Again, while supplies last, while
we have the space. Please visit our official Facebook pages, including the Recreation, Parks, and Public Affairs page, as the mayor mentioned early on. I want to thank all the volunteers that make events like this, Resident Appreciation Weekend, possible. We do want to give back to our community, and these are just some small tokens of how we can make that happen. So I want to thank our volunteers for their efforts. As Councilman Seer says, on April 15th, we will be having the 5K Run, Walk, and Health Fair. This is a partnership with the Mayor's Wellness Campaign, Public Affairs, and the Green Team. I am personally really excited about this event as a runner myself. I love to see the community come together doing something healthy. So, come for the 5K run, walk, and stay for the health fair. I know Mr. Sears is probably doing a fantastic job putting together the health fair portion. So, get out there, let's get healthy, and encourage your family, your friends. There's no age requirement, so all are welcomed to at least walk. It is April 15th, 9 a.m. The runners will take off and the walkers will follow shortly after. We are working with a fantastic timing company, Split Second Racing Company. They are fantastic to work with, so I really look forward to that. And our registration, the information for the registration will be up this week. As Councilman Sears says, if you're interested in becoming a vendor for the health portion of it, you can just directly see him. Anything that has to do with the 5K portion, you can see me. It's a team effort between the mayor, Councilman Sears, and myself, but it is a big endeavor, so we are working on splitting the work a bit. And then I have one last piece that I wanted to address to both the council and our residents at home. So if you just bear with me, I actually wrote this one out. At the January 17, 2023 council meeting, several residents came out and spoke in support of the town purchasing 450 Pascack. It is no secret that I am in favor of it for a multitude of reasons, which I will leave out of today's statement. The reason for my statement tonight, rather, is to make the council aware of what I felt was unjust behavior exhibited at the January 17th council meeting, with the overall hopes we can avoid such behavior in the future and work together on projects within our purview. After several residents spoke to express their sentiments regarding 450 Pascack, one resident had one additional question she wanted to ask, but her 5 minutes had been up. She was then directed not to speak from her seat and rather email the question to the council president as procedure normally calls. At the conclusion of the public comment portion, being very mindful of the time, which was approximately 9:30 p.m., and making sure all residents had already spoken, I respectfully requested permission to have this resident ask her last question. But once again, instead, she was directed to email the question. Until this day, 3 weeks later, I have yet to be copied in on the question via email, nor do I have knowledge if she in fact sent the question in. As a result of the repeated directive to email her final question, Councilwoman Feeney motioned to suspend the rules, and I seconded it. A vote was taken by council, which failed to pass, and the question remains unheard and unanswered to my knowledge today. This could have easily been avoided by allowing her to ask her last question at the meeting, as I respectfully requested, which has been granted to other residents in past meetings. I have been on council for 1 year and have not once requested to suspend the rules, being respectful not to abuse such a privilege. Yet my one only request was denied. And while procedurally the request was handled as the law calls, let me remind the council and our residents that motions to suspend the rules have been passed on multiple occasions with unanimous yes votes by all members of council, with the exception of the January 17, 2023 meeting, the one and only time I have made such a request in an effort to hear our resident. Let me also remind the council that at the June 2022 meeting, Council President Morgan, after discussing with Mr. Poller, requested a motion to suspend the rules until further notice. Councilman Casio officially made the motion, and I second it, because I do support her effort to allow our residents to speak freely and be heard. I ask for the same support. Therefore, I implore the council to work together to listen to all residents equally, even when the topics are controversial. Thank you for your time, and I hope we can continue moving the town forward together as a fair and collective unit. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. The resident spotlight. So I would like to share with you an email that we all received from one of our very own. So this is excellent news, actually. On Sunday, February 12th, immediately following the Super Bowl on Fox, our very own Washington Township resident, Michelle Pilata, will be competing in Gordon Ramsay's Next Level Chef Season 2. So I think it's something I know, it's pretty fantastic. So I would like to ask the town to support our resident. Please spread the word and tune in and watch the show. And if you know Michelle and you see her, please let her know that she's already made us very proud, and we wish her the best of luck. One final thing, stigma-free. As many of you know, I am the stigma-free ambassador. I did bring that stigma-free to this town about 6 years ago maybe, prior to the current administration. And we are looking to partner with Westwood, and we have some students who would like to come. Every year they come for service hours. They can bring some of the messages back to the school. Every now and then, the school will get involved and we'll do something. They'll invite us to one of their health fairs. So if you are interested, if anybody is interested in partnering and helping out with the stigma-free, mental health is in crisis right now. So we really could use some stigma-free and some mental health support here in town, as well as partnering with our neighbors, Westwood. They have a pretty robust program. So I think combining the two would be a really significant impact on what we can do with our stigma-free program. So if you have any questions or you're interested in volunteering, please email me at dmorgan@twpofwashington.us. Okay. General public comment. To participate in the general public comment portion of the meeting, please click on the link below to join the webinar. If by phone, *9 to raise your hand, *6 to unmute. Each person wishing to address the council shall give his or her name and home address for the record. And we ask that only one person speak at a time with a 5-minute limit. Speakers are to direct all questions to the council president. All members of the public and council are expected to conduct themselves in a proper manner. Any derogatory, abusive, or threatening statements will not be permitted, and the council president will immediately rule such conduct out of order and terminate any further comments. Motion to open?
So moved.
Second. Oh.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Is there anyone that would like to come up? Is there any hands raised? Come on up.
Good evening, Julianne Lipnick, 184 Affinity Place. Have to say thank you very much. Good things are worth waiting for. And in the cold snap, I started in my basement and I have 2 boxes already, so I'm thrilled to death. I would like very much to address Affinity Place. In the name of public safety, we closed that walkway and the trees were pruned upward. On any given day, there are roughly 10 cars that park on the south side of the Affinity Place. Those cars all belong to shopping center workers. When we first met, we were going to paint the whole side and make it no parking end to end. We talked about how that ordinance, when it was put into place, can't be enforced because if someone is sitting in the driver's seat, that's no standing. I implore you, in the name of public safety, to go back to the original. Paint the whole curb, Are they going to park somewhere else? Well, technically, the shopping center workers should be in the shopping center. It's very rarely that you'll get a shopper to park there. At its worst case, they'll park on the north side of the street. What is now happening is cars park fairly close to one another. I have seen on many days, kids come over that berm, even adults. You can't see them between the cars, and you hear it all the time. Like Colonial Boulevard, Finity Place has become a racetrack. It's a connecting street to Woodfield, to Stratford, to Sussex. The speed is unbelievable, and nobody's paying attention. So I implore you, I live there. I could care less if somebody parked on my side of the street. But in the name of public safety, with anyone coming across, can we please paint the curb and change the signs to no parking and no standing? As I said 2 weeks ago, the landscapers are going to be out probably now in about 4 weeks. And I know what's going to happen. And even now, the way it is, if there's an overflow and there's no parking in the library, on a given day, right around my corner, I can have 4 or 5 cars. It's a curb. They're not living there. So if they park there, they park there. But to protect the other side of the street, it is really mandatory, I believe. If not that, then that fence has got to go all the way up to Pascack Road, or else speed bumps in the middle of the street, something. But it is really and truly a dangerous entity. And I can tell you some of the cars that goes, people don't even, when they turn onto Devon, they're not even turning in the right lane. They'll turn into the wrong lane. My husband and I have been the brunt of a near collision on quite a few occasions recently. No one's paying attention. Everybody's in a hurry. So please, we implore you seriously to give great thought to painting the entire side
1 minute
and
left, Mr.
putting the signs up for no parking and no standing. I thank you.
Thank you. Mr.
President,
Pollak.
I think Mr. DiCarlo actually mentioned it in his report that they're looking into, because I think a while ago, I asked to vote to make one side all yellow and have Mr. Pollak write the ordinance.
I know that we talked about the ordinance, that you had questioned whether it should be us with Mr. Pollak revising the ordinance.
Yes.
I don't know, do you put painted streets in the ordinance? But if whatever is the case, can we make sure that that's the process? Because I do agree that as a driver myself, if I don't see a yellow curb, I'm questioning, maybe I can park here, this part. So can we make sure that that's part of the process of blocking that side of the street from parking?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
I think the traffic officer was going to explore that from this was a couple months ago, so. I think that's what we did.
It's no parking regardless, but I just think optically it makes it obvious that you're not supposed to park there. That's all, right? That's what you're saying. We already know the ordinance is gonna be, we had discussed it. The ordinance is gonna be changed to no parking. So now it makes sense to make it yellow because that signifies no parking. That's all
And
I'm
no
saying.
standing. It's supposed to be no parking now and no standing.
No standing, right? Mhm.
And the sign, I think we talked about the signs being changed also to reflect that.
Okay. Thank you. And thank you for your idea on the legacy books. That was all you, and we appreciate it. Okay. Let's see. Is there anyone else that would like to come up? Come on up.
Lynn Pistono, 631 Washington Avenue. I'm here to address the pothole turned crown on Washington Avenue. I've sent you all a copy of the email from this morning. Being woken up early this morning was the last straw. Those of us living in the area of the pothole should not be subjected to this noise any longer. The situation was not properly addressed back in March and April of 2022 when I sent in the initial complaint on the town website. I want my tax dollars to get this repaired now and not when the builder decides to finish the project and pave. We have been patient long enough, and my patience have worn out. Back in January, we were told we'd have to wait another 2 to 3 weeks, and now we've been told that again. The assisted living is going to be done before you get the emergency services building done, and that started about a year later. So my question is, what is going to be done in the next day or so to alleviate this problem? Yes, in the next few days, not weeks. Then, on another note, I don't know if you're aware that someone ran down the speed limit sign in front of our house on Washington Avenue. We don't know when it happened, but there's only a little piece of the pole sticking up out of the ground. Thank God it wasn't a person. Sadly, this isn't the first time, and I'm sure it won't be the last. Thank you, and again, I'd like to see something done in the next couple of days and not weeks that turn into months with this pothole. And I really don't like being woken up at 5 a.m. in the morning from trucks. It's not good. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Pistono, when I saw your email, I did reply to, by the way.
Yes, I saw that. Thank you.
You're welcome. I did drive by there and sat in the driveway to try to listen, and I then called Mr. DiCarlo because I don't hear what you're hearing, but I'm sure it's because it's different time of the day, and it was cars. He's explained to me, I believe it's trucks that you're mostly having.
The landscape trucks, traffic.
It's a little further up from their house.
No,
You can see it's where it originally collapsed.
it's in front of the doors that go into, right? It's directly,
Yeah.
yeah. I sat there with the car, actually on the phone with Mr. DiCarlo trying to. Yeah. I'm not saying, I'm just saying I wasn't able to hear it, so I'm trying, I came here prepared to, or I was coming here prepared to say, yes, I heard the same thing. But I did go after I saw your email, I went right over there prior to coming here, and I'm sure it must be much louder when there's nothing else going on outside and there's larger trucks. So,
Council President, it's actually the flatbedded trucks and the empty trailer trucks. When they hit that, they bounce and everything goes off. We were in the firehouse and we heard it the other day. Truck
you
came by and we thought they crashed. And we walked to the end and looked.
Pro loss in particular, you get steel on steel.
It's awful. It's really awful.
It's very.
So it's that
I
deep,
mean, you put barrels there and then people run the barrels over. So maybe you could put sandbags, maybe you could put something to keep them away from the center of the road. It's horrible.
Mhm.
It really is.
okay. I'm sorry that you're having to deal with that.
It
Yeah.
rattled, it's. I had it up here.
That's right. Okay. Is there anyone else that would like to come up? I'm sorry. Come on up. You're right, I'm sorry.
John Pistono, 631 Washington Avenue. I just wanted to add something in addition to this issue with the street in front of the emergency services building. Having sold Ford trucks, F-150s through 750s, all types of bodies on them, commercial bodies on them, and Freightliner trucks, I'm very familiar with this equipment. As I said, it's traditionally, it's the roll-offs that really make the worst sound, and that's probably what you heard, Mr. Sears, because it's steel on steel. It really sounds like a collision. Also hook lifts, sold many of them for Meadowland Ford. And the landscaper rigs, oddly enough, when they come by, the loose equipment inside of the trailers and stuff, they get to rocking and rolling and stuff, and it just starts moving everything in the community around. We could hear it in our basement. Really what I wanted to ask you about was the heavies, the 18-wheelers. there is no doubt in my mind that they're coming through our community tremendously overloaded. There's no doubt in my mind. I don't know that we could do anything as a community, maybe put something in the street to monitor their weights, whatever. But, I mean, it's rattling the glazing right out of our windows a lot of times. And you could hear them from blocks away. I mean, sometimes I hear them coming up from Westwood towards our home and the firehouse and beyond. And it hits the Crown on Washington Avenue. And as you said, you fellas there, I can't wait for you to get the parking lot paved because I don't know where else you're going to put any more vehicles. I counted 14, 15 the other morning. So I'm sure you're hearing it at this point, and you know what it is. I mean, it's something that you can't deny it at this point. It's just been an ongoing thing for years. But I did want to bring that to your attention that, you know, we're talking dangers to our children and dangers to our residents and stuff. Not a good idea for these 18-wheelers to be sailing through here loaded to the gills. And, you know, they're rated at 66,000 pounds. Trust me, I unloaded trucks for Stop and Shop for 5 years up in Wyckoff. Bought a new hip as a result of it, but they're way overloaded. Sometimes 6, 8, 10,000 pounds. So I think it's dangerous. And, you know, they took out the sign the other day. I'm worried about the front trees, you know, because they're growing and they're becoming more mature and more expensive and stuff. But my greatest concern is the people, the pedestrians and stuff. I don't want to see somebody taken out on the sidewalk and stuff. So just wanted to bring that to your attention and stuff. It's a concern of mine, the dangers. And it's not just Washington. It's Pascack. It's Ridgewood Road. It's all our avenues and stuff. It's a real danger. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Can we respond?
Oh, yeah, you can
Yeah,
respond. I'm
just
sorry.
a response,
You
Mr.
you could,
Bristow.
you could stay.
I understand that those trucks come down Ridgewood Road, Pascack, Washington, and there's more than you would expect if you don't live on one of those main roads, as you and I do. And in the past, and Ken can attest to this, when we had the transfer station over in Hillsdale, we had those waste management trucks or waste trucks rerouted up to Van Enberg instead of going down Pascack. It just destroyed the road. It was unsafe. I don't know if the word unsightly is correct, but it was not a pleasant community to live in at that point. I don't know what we can do because they are county roads. I don't know what recourse we would have, but there are a lot more than most people think that don't live on one of those roads. So I feel your frustration. And when you have one small pothole and a big truck going over it, you're going to know about it. Like you said, things rattle, and it's nice. You notice the difference after they pave Washington, right? How you don't even hear them.
I can't, I'm speaking from the seat.
But yes, well, you didn't have to respond,
Yes.
but you know, the thing is, when it's paved, you will hear it. So hopefully we get that paved as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
The county come in and do their thing. So,
I think we're just a couple weeks away, right?
soon.
I know you've been hearing that. Oh, I know. We can't speak from the seat. I'm so sorry, but I know you've been hearing that a lot. Did I hear you say
Yes, I can relate as well. I'm on Van Ember, so right in front of my driveway, my neighbor's driveway, there have been potholes repaired, just filled in. So are the trucks, they're just incredibly loud. I will say that a resident in the area did reach out to the county, is waiting to hear back, at least for the Van Ember situation. And as soon as this individual hears, then I was gonna follow up. So maybe if we can kind of gather together as like community for the county roads, it can pay a little more attention. I don't know if there's something in the ordinance regarding, how heavy the trucks can come in. If there's something like that.
I'm not sure. I wouldn't know. Mr. Poller,
I know there are.
are you familiar with any ordinances about certain weighted trucks coming through the township?
On county roads?
Right.
No, I'm not.
I don't know if that's even a thing, but it's worth mentioning. The business.
Steve's right about the trucks that we had going to the transfer station. That was a special issue. When it was an approved route with the BCUA, but for regular commercial traffic, I'd say you'd have to actually reach out to the county.
It's also determined by vehicle classes. So each weight of the truck is dependent upon the class that the truck has been assigned to it. So I think somebody said it's like 66,000 is I think for a regular size tractor trailer. And it's not determined by the road, it's determined by the size of the vehicle.
Council
I'm
President?
sorry. I'm so sorry to make you stand up there.
But I believe the county police have a weight unit,
That's my husband's unit, yeah.
and
That could just,
they
I'm
can
sure
go
he's
anywhere
dying
on
to
a
chime
county
in right
road,
now. Mhm.
pull the truck over and weigh it right there.
Right, yes, that's
So
what he
it
does.
might be worth us calling out to them to do a 1 day, 2 day, or 3 day.
I think I will probably have an answer if we took a 5-minute break in a little while.
Okay.
I'm sure, he's
Okay.
dying to chime in. I'm sorry.
Hello, everyone. Laura Sinclair, 864 Ridgewood Boulevard East. First, I want to say, I do want to commend Mr. DiCarlo because there is a difference from, there is having that feedback every single meeting. So you are doing a great job, so you should be commended. What I'd like to read today is Diane Ferrara wrote a letter to the council, and she was unable to meet today, so she asked me to read on her behalf. And dear Mayor, Council Calamari, Council President Morgan, Vice President Mr. Cassio, Council members Mrs. Feeney, Mr. Sears, and Mrs. Velez. Let us scare taxes versus vision of township. Let us understand the facts about 450 Pascack, 3.2 acres of property, including several areas of trees along Washington School and Memorial Field. We have a tremendous amount of respect for the council and mayor. I'm wondering why I can't see there. Your job is critically important and demanding. The council's purpose and goal is to oversee the township's growth, planning, development, and in a responsible way for today and for the future, protecting the residents' interests of making the town a better place for families and our children. The one thing we cannot do is create more land in the township. Many of our other towns are regretting decisions they have made with overdevelopment. Just look at Park Ridge and Emerson, where the middle of those towns look like small cities now. We ask the council to plan not only for today, but for tomorrow. We need a vision for our township beyond a one-year time. We need a vision for 10-plus years ahead, addressing what will make the township an exceptional, beautiful, and desirable community, a vision that considers what we can preserve for the future while making decisions today. Opportunity comes knocking. The 450 Pascack property is at the heart of the township and community lives. Purchasing it will give the township numerous opportunities, including parking. I couldn't help but today when you were talking about Washington School and the lack of parking, there's zero parking at Memorial School. And here is an opportunity, including parking at the street level for safety for Memorial Field, which is very much needed, and for any other expanding school needs, such as parking and storage, in consideration of the large number of incoming new residents moving into 2 new very large developments already approved in township. Acquiring 450 would also allow Memorial Field to add a concession stand and/or meeting space at the street level during sporting events, if so desired. The possible addition of wooded nature walking path for children and residents between Pascack Road and Washington School, while still zoning as a much 3.2 acre as possible conservation easement for reasons further noted below. None of these options need to be pursued in the immediate future. No monies need to be spent at this time. Purchasing the property simply offers such opportunities going forward. Without purchasing 450, we would not only lose these opportunities forever, but lose much more if 450 becomes the target yet again of profit-seeking developers. As very astutely observed by Mayor Calamari at the July 17 council meeting, the property at 450 Pascack is unique for the fact that it adjoins Memorial Field and Washington School and offers a great deal of possibilities for the town's own purposes. Yet it has already been threatened by an aggressive developer. In fact, Mayor Calamari pointed out the strategic and perceptive developer could very well be waiting until 2025 to force and coach affordable housing development, bypassing an attempt for the Township Zoning Board to regulate it. Knowing it would be difficult to get these approvals otherwise, this would be a disastrous and very intelligent, forward-looking anticipation on the part of the mayor. And in this connection, we'd like to address Council President Morgan's recent letter to the Pascack Press. No, we are not taking the council to buy the property needlessly, as though it's not in the interest of the township and all the residents to do so. It would be a tremendous opportunity to let 450 go. The problem we're addressing is the fact that there is little to no land
1 minute
left in the township, and little that can be easily snatched up for the character overdevelopment. And now we see more and more neighboring towns. There's more to this letter, and talking about the thousands and thousands of gallons of water with the uprooting of trees, so on and so forth. And Diane did an amazing job writing it. But basically what we're saying, it really is a piece of land that can be used for the community. One thing I do, one line, I have to say it's up. Having a few homes on this property is not going to make a difference at all for the taxpayers. A few homes, it's not, once the school tax gets out. However, buying the property will in fact make a difference for Memorial Field for generations to come. Having a development or whatever's going to be on top of the schools could be unfavorable for the children. This piece of property is valuable. It's not because I live on Ridgewood Boulevard East. Parking, the chief of police was talking about parking, about the schools. There is zero parking. They pull up on Ridgewood Boulevard. Children running, football players got to get on the field, so on and so forth. It's safety for the children. And it is some preservation also, but we're not looking for it to just keep the trees and that's it. It really does have value. So I really appreciate, I would really like to know what would be your reasoning not to purchase it? If it's only going to be $10 or $12, I'm done.
I wanted to finish your thought, but it rolled into another.
You know, what would be the reason? Okay, that's it. Thank you.
That's okay. Thank you.
Oh, do I leave now?
Yeah, well, your 5 minutes is up. We
Okay.
can answer, but unfortunately,
Guys, sit in
we
the
can't
seat.
have a
It's okay.
dialogue after
It's
that. Sorry about that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, does anyone want to answer? Does anyone want to talk?
I'll
Respond?
just respond. I'm in support of 450, all the reasons that you mentioned, the preservation for the space. I mean, Chief Skinner being here and just talking about the parking. I'm a former Washington school parent, knowing myself running down Wayne Place because I parked all the way at the end, and I know poor Mrs. Valentino is looking for where is Mrs. Feeney. So, I mean, I think there's a lot of benefit to possibly utilizing the property in that regard, and I agree, a few homes is not going to provide the benefit long-term that the town acquiring this property will. I mean, you're talking 50 years down the road, it still will have benefit.
Okay. Does anyone else would like to comment? Nope.
Can I just comment to Mrs. Sinclair? Well, as I said in my statement, in my report, I'm in favor of 450 for many of the reasons you already stated and I've stated in the past.
Sorry, my mic wasn't on. So I am in favor of it. One thing that we need to keep in mind, we talk about spending, and yes, we have to be mindful of our spending, but there's a difference between spending and investing. And this is an investment in our future for the community. So like a previous caller said at the last meeting, it's just, we can hold it. We don't have to spend the money developing it right away. But if once it's gone, it's gone. And we are not going to get it back for the same price. So.
Council President? I would like to address both Councilwoman Velez and Councilwoman Feeney's statement. We are in a closed session. We are not supposed to be talking about this. We've been warned by the town attorney not to make statements in public, whether it's a written statement or a speech statement. We have not made a decision. We are still under what the attorney has told us. We are not to discuss this in public. So I have to warn both of you, council people, we are not supposed to discuss this, and you're not supposed to be giving opinions when we are still in a closed session. So, I mean, that's all I have to say. I mean, whether I'm for it or against it, I am following what the town attorney has told us. We are not supposed to speak about this. And please, Councilwoman, let's honor what the town attorney has told us. I know, and I can feel your pain. I can feel your frustration. I can see what the rec wants to do. I can see what the school wants to do, but we are following what the town attorney has told us. We have listened to you. Trust me, I have so many notes from everybody's speech, but we are told not to make comment. And I am amazed that both of you are still making comments. We are not supposed to be making comments. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. One thing I want to say is there is a silent group also speaking out. I just want to let you know. I'm sure the council can tell you. I know I can tell you. I received emails and phone calls all supporting the fact that they also say, please, please, there's another side of the town, not just that side of the town that you must consider. And all I'm going to say is, again, like Councilman Sears just mentioned, I have not said yes, I have not said no. What I've told you is there's scare tactics and words that have been used, not from the people who live on Ridgewood Boulevard East, from the dais that I felt were scare tactics. I'm not going to go into it again because I've already made my thoughts known on that. What I will say is there are people who have called us, have reached out to us, and have said that they appreciate the fact that I'm looking at the town globally and not just one specific area. Everyone is important, and God knows I wish I could just make everybody happy. I truly do. And it is those difficult and often those decisions that need to be made that are not yet necessarily the most popular with the people in the room. But I have to look at everything, consider everything, and weigh everything. And there's no level of I don't even know what I'm going to say, strong arming, scare tactic that's going to change my mind. I will make a decision based on what I can sleep with at night, knowing that I have the best interest of the town as a whole in my decision making. So I'm just going to leave it at that. Doesn't mean yes, it doesn't mean no. It means when I make my decision, it's not because somebody forced me into one, or I'm trying to side with one person for any agenda. Okay.
You have one person on the.
I just want to
And
address,
we're gonna,
Council President, I just want to one issue on
okay, go ahead, you can.
on the conference agenda. The 450 is on the conference agenda for this evening.
So when we get to it, we'll discuss it.
Yes, but the point is 450 is on the conference agenda.
Okay, so when we get to it, we'll discuss it.
Right, but in response to Mr. Sears, I'd like Mr. Pollard to address two issues. The first is that 2 meetings ago, or maybe it was 3 meetings ago, Mr. Pollard made it clear, Councilman Sears, just so you know, that we are allowed to respond to residents and give our opinion on that property. And he did actually say that to us.
Yes, okay, so let me just jump in. What I said was you can express your support or non-support for purchasing or not purchasing what you feel. However, the items and the matters and the issues that were discussed in closed session should not be disclosed during that portion that you might say what your position is. Now, we've gone through a couple of meetings already with this situation where people have expressed their views of, I am in favor of it, I'm not in favor of it. That's okay, because that's what your responsibility is. Your views are something that you are able to express. The point that was made by me was when we have closed sessions and there is the intricacies of facts and options and things of that nature that are discussed, that has to remain in closed session until you decide what you want to do, and then you'll be bringing that out. But the actual process of discussing it is closed session. I mean, so we have to draw a line somewhere. So where I've drawn it is where I said you should be free to express your support or non-support, and you could say what you want about the how you feel about that. But the admonition is that you do not, during that, disclose the matters that were under discussion in closed session. I hope that's clear. It's the best I can express it.
So just to be clear, Mr. Pollard, that's what, and I only speak for myself. I'm expressing my opinion.
Yes.
Right.
Right. Yeah, which is fine.
I have not violated any.
No.
Thank you.
I just think what happens, and I think, we're all human. So when you discuss how you feel about a position, there does come a point where you will get close to the line of disclosing something from closed session, possibly. So I think it's just very, very important to keep that line carefully drawn. Saying what your opinion is fine. And even saying that you haven't made an opinion, or you haven't made a decision, or you haven't made a commitment, that's also fine. Whatever you want to say about your position generally, just to keep the closed session material in closed session.
Okay, just wanted to
Yep.
clarify
Yep.
that we are still
Yeah,
straight.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Pollard. Is there anyone online?
Yes.
Desiree, may I make a comment about that also before you move on to the next?
Actually, I'd prefer to move on.
Okay, so you're stopping me from making a comment. I just want to put that on the record.
Okay, go ahead. Is there someone on?
I'm an invited guest to these meetings.
That's correct.
Yes.
That's correct.
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, my name is Nicole Vogel, and I live at 877 Ridgewood Boulevard East. I was not able to attend the meeting tonight, so don't mind my raspy voice a little bit. I'll keep it brief. I'm just here to support my neighbors and Laura, what she said to back up the stuff for the purchase of 450. I did have two questions, though, which I'm not sure were answered after last meeting. One of them was I think we asked towards the end of it if the property is able to be, subdivided without having to purchase it. And then my second question would be about our street on Ridgewood Boulevard East. I know that you guys had mentioned talking to Chief Skinner about the people speeding down our street on a regular basis.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Madam President, if you allow me, I can jump in on the subdivision question.
I was just going to defer to you.
Okay.
Go ahead.
The town cannot subdivide it without owning it. If we do own it, we can subdivide it, but you can't subdivide somebody else's property.
Does that answer your question?
Understood, yes.
Okay. And the second part of your question, well, the other question was the speeding. What, can you elaborate just a little bit? I don't think your 5 minutes wasn't up yet. Correct? Okay. What was
I think at the last meeting, I'm not sure who mentioned it, but we were talking about street safety with Councilman Sears, and we had said that our street, a lot of people travel very fast up and down the hills. I guess to go down to Pascack or to go up to Jackson, and we said that. Okay, yes.
I remember, thank you.
So I wasn't sure if.
Slow down signs.
And Chief Skinner was going to put the slow down signs. You're talking about the ones that are on Colonial?
Right, right.
Okay. But it's on a hill. Well, that's fine.
He said he wanted to place him there, but he's going to put an extra police officer up there.
Okay, so we'll
mention something about it in the beginning here.
Can we follow up?
Yeah.
Mr. DiCarlo, can we follow up with that? With Chief Skinner, where we are with that, what the plan is for that?
If you remember, I addressed the concerns in the beginning.
On Ridgewood specifically?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was brought to the attention of the chief. Yeah.
Okay, for that. Okay. All right.
I'm sorry, I got to the meeting a little late. Sorry about
No
that.
problem.
I didn't hear you.
I was here and
Okay,
I missed
thank
that.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Sorry, when you said speeding, I didn't necessarily realize it was that hill, the Ridgewood Boulevard. I was thinking by the high school, Ridgewood.
No.
So yeah, by you guys. So, and in just an offshoot of that, those things that were put up, those speeding poles or whatever, they're gone on Colonial.
Well, they're there.
They're
They just
there.
pushed it to
They
the
put them
curb
aside,
because they were doing the salting and the watering.
But they've been before that. Prior to that, they were also. I don't know. You could just move. Like, who's responsible to place those?
DPW was putting them, I believe.
Okay.
A direction by the police department.
Can they go back? Like, I mean,
So I have to talk to Chief Skinner.
it was helping. I mean, it was definitely helping.
Yeah, they're wonderful. They just take a beating. So I think when, Councilman Sears said when they were salting the plow or the trucks were coming through, they had moved it to the side of the road. But yes, I will mention it.
Yeah, because they're not helpful on the side of the road. That's come and gone. Thank you.
Yeah, two of the hands raised on the.
Two other, okay.
Mhm.
Yep. You can let them. Hello?
Hello?
Good evening, can you hear me?
Yes, we can now.
Yes, Fred Mahudi, 649 Washington Ave. Pardon my slur. I'm actually very exhausted. I've been up since 5 a.m. when that trailer hit that pothole in front of my house. I'm just calling in just to speak and support my neighbors as far as how bad this pothole has affected my quality of life and my family's quality of life. I have two little girls, a 1-year-old and a 2-year-old, and every single time a trailer, an empty truck hits this pothole, my entire house rattles and shakes. It wakes up my girls, and both my wife and I have to run into the room, try to calm them down and put them back to sleep. Sometimes we are successful, sometimes we aren't. You know, that's just the nature of being a parent. But what is truly unfair is living with this situation for as long as we have been. The contractor tried to fix this pothole in numerous occasions. They come and pour asphalt over it. They pack it down with a damper and just makes it even worse than initially was. That is not how you fix a pothole. I mean, I'm not sure if the contractor has any expertise in how to fix a pothole. I know we keep talking about this is a county road and you have to talk to the county and wait for the county to pave it. But, my question is, and I'm asking the question because I'm hoping that this is an open discussion, but I can get a response back. My question is, why can't the contractor be held accountable for this mess? Why can't they properly come and fix it once and for all versus us waiting to eventually this project be done and eventually for the Washington Ave to be paid? Over.
Okay, so let me ask that of Mr. DiCarlo. Maybe you can help him understand he wants a dialogue. So he may have a follow-up question.
Hello, sir. How are you?
Good, sir.
I think just for clarification for everybody, it's not really a pothole. I think that's just the words being used. It's more of they trenched from the side of the road to the middle of the road and conducted whatever work they did, and then put the asphalt back in there. So what they need to do is they need to mill it and then properly fill it with pavement so it's at the same level as the rest of the roadway. I've been given information from the site project manager that they're trying to do that correction to coincide with the paving of the actual parking lot for emergency services building. I will go there tomorrow and speak with him to see if there is anything we can do in the interim. I was there again today, spoke directly with him in person. And, again, I do, it's true. We told you in January it was going to be a couple of weeks, and I'm conveying that message again. Unfortunately, things work slow and no one cares what a timeline is. And so I will go there tomorrow and see what we can do in the interim. I just respectfully ask for everybody's patience as we are trying to address it as quickly as we can.
I appreciate your time, sir. I appreciate you taking the time and reaching out to them and speaking with them in person. And believe me, we are due diligent on our end to be patient. We have been patient with this project that's been ongoing for the past, coming up, I believe, 3 years now. And, it's just unfortunate that we have to suffer and our quality of life have to be diminished to this point. We send emails and, yes, we get a response back right away that we reach out to the contractor, but then, everything goes silent again until we come and raise our voices again and say, listen, what happened? You guys told us this, and then nothing, everything went silent again. So I truly do appreciate if, reaching out to the site contractor, discussing it with them, and having them at least fix this matter to an extent where we can at least live a bit at peace until the entire project of the Pascack intersection with Washington Township and the Emergency Service Center building is completed. And I look forward to that day. So thank you so much for your time. Have a wonderful night.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Yes, there is one more.
Hello?
Hello?
See a hand up still, no?
No, they look like a drop off.
Okay, is there anyone else that would like to come up?
I got moved back.
Hi.
Hi.
Anthony Udina, 876 Ridgewood Boulevard East. Two things. I have a pile of styrofoam in my garage, and I'm very happy to get rid of it.
Yeah. But we're almost there. They should be sending the mayor the joint agreement soon.
Quick question on that. Would it be the process that we bring it to a centralized location within the town and then the town brings it to Ridgewood?
Yes.
Or would the residents have to bring it to
They'll
Ridgewood?
bring it up here to the DPW, and then they will take it to Ridgewood.
Great. I often talk about 450 Pascack Road. I understand property acquisition is big and you have to make decisions based on public interest. But I don't understand how you think it could be something for a certain area of the town. You said you had people talking to you, hey, what about us over here, you know? I think that property touches pretty much every aspect of the town. The school, there's children, I know two families that live on the eastern side of the town that attend that school. I don't know many people in this town, so for me to know two, that's pretty good. I assume there's a lot more people from the eastern side of town that attends Washington School. Memorial Field, I don't understand how the sports that happen there, it touches everybody in this town. The men's softball team, they're all over the town. They're not just in one area. Lacrosse, whatever, I don't know all the sports that are played there, but it touches all areas of the town. Town Day, you know, is held there. Everybody from town just comes to that area. So I just don't see how it impacts, how you could think it impacts only a certain area. It's a global, it touches the global part of the town, although the town's not global. But I understand what your point is with that term. And that's just basically it. I mean, it's not local to just Ridgewood Boulevard East residents. The police chief talked about earlier, possibly a road back there. I mean, from the back of that building to the property line, the furthest part of the back of that building to the property line, I'd say it's about 20 feet. A road back there, that's pretty tight. I mean, you could use the extra space, or the school could use the extra space, or, you know, it's just good to have that option, to have that space there, because he said, you know, a few years, we're going to have major problems there. That's basically it. Thanks for the styrofoam.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to come up? You can come up.
Mike Agnello, 667 Mason Street, Washington Township. First, I would also like to thank Mark for all the help you've given me and the input back from the town and the questions I've been asking. You've been greatly helpful to me, but still my confusion goes on. So just to give an idea to the board, let you know, one of the things that confuses me is I got Oprah requests on permits on the property limits, which we discussed. And I did find that there was an Oprah permit to take out a pool and backfill, but then the property backfilled 30,000 square feet of topsoil 3 feet high over the 400 square foot pool. So I don't know how to get away with that. But I have a couple questions if I can just get back to the subcode official regarding the 3 homes. Hopefully he will take action on the homes, and will we be provided the action that's taken on the homes? Now that they're abandoned, they're dangerous and they're 5 feet off Pascack Road. My second question, of course, I always go back to my stream in the backyard. I turned in 2 surveys for both myself and my neighbor, both showing easements on our property, both being done 15 years apart by 2 different survey companies. So at one point, there was an easement in the back of my house. At one point, the town and the engineers directed the water from the hills and the north gate to come through our backyards through this easement. Now the easement is gone. And as a homeowner, I just want to know where it went. Okay? I know that the waterway got reversed, but the applicant at that time applied to the DEP, and for his reason was to put in a parking lot with 128 parking spaces. Okay, the waterway got reversed, but there's no parking lot coming. There was never a parking lot coming. So I'm just curious if any of this stuff is as shady as it looks on Meisner Street, if it looks as crazy up in your offices. Now, my last question has to do with back in 13 to 15 years ago, the administration at the time applied to the DEP to make the waterway behind our homes through that easement, a Class C1 waterway. It was done by the mayor at the time, and I would assume with the help of the engineers and the attorney at the time. And at that time, the DEP granted a C1 waterway done by the Township of Washington at the expense of the Township of Washington taxpayers. My question is, how does an applicant then reapply to the state and overturn what a municipality has done in its own town, just taking away the expenses that we spent without the input of the town attorney and the town engineer? This was totally reversed, just as shady as the pool that came out in 30,000 square feet times 3 was replaced in the 400 square foot pool. This DEP turnover was allowed to be changed after we paid, the taxpayers of this town, paid to have it done, had it paid to be a C1 waterway, because at that time, the administration used our surveyors, our engineers to calculate the property, to calculate the amount of everything coming through. And our engineers and our attorney felt it was a Class 1 waterway. And we spent our taxpayers' money to do it. And then we let an applicant come in and overturn it for a reason not being used. My question is, how do we let that happen as an administration?
Thank you. If your 5 minutes isn't up, you may want to stay.
Question for Mr. Agnello. Have you gotten word from any legal stance or any engineer from the township that understood that this was being changed, or?
I have a letter state from Burton Engineering or something at the time that the applicant was reapplying, and he was reapplying for a parking lot of 128 spaces to have it overturned. But again, if our engineers said that there were 50 plus acres or 55 acres of land coming into this waterway and there was all this drainage, our engineers, we paid to find this all out for the mayor at that time. Okay? Who changed it? And why wasn't our engineers right back there saying, oh, did I add wrong? I can't get the 52 and a half. I only got the 48 and I made a mistake. Where was the mistake? Where's the transparency now to us, the residents who paid for this, to show why you're changing it back?
Well, I don't understand. So we have a outside entity comes into Washington Township, decides to change a Class C waterway for their benefit. And I don't know if the township knew about this or not, but I'm baffled on how a resident outside of the town could change a Class C waterway for property within the township. I don't, that baffles me on how that can be done.
I'm not sure how it's done either, but I know we have the same attorney for the past 3 administrations. Maybe he can enlighten us. I'm sure he was possibly involved in the original town's application to make this a Class 1 waterway.
50 seconds, Mr. Agnello.
Okay, 49
Okay,
ago.
just pause him for a second. Pause this. Mr. Poller, are you familiar with any of what Mr. Agnello is saying?
I wish I knew what Mr. Agnello was talking about, because I have no recollection at all about being involved in applying to DEP to do anything. The C1 waterway is something that is under DEP jurisdiction, and I know that township engineers were involved in interpreting whether there was a C1 waterway on the last application that was put before the one of the boards. But to be honest, and I have a pretty good memory about things, but I'm not saying I'm 100%, but I don't remember doing any work, being involved in any respect about a C1 waterway. Honestly, this kind of stuff is thrown around all the time. So and so was involved. So and so was involved. The engineer was not our current engineers. I remember when the application came in, but
Mr. Azzolino.
it was there was the engineer from Hillsdale. What was his name?
Mr. Fowler, Councilwoman, yeah.
So if we look at the DEP process and it didn't go through you, then most likely it would have at that time gone through our engineering team who was on retainer. So maybe that's the question to go out to whoever was the engineer back when it was initially applied for. And then when it was changed for that period, let's reach out to our engineers internally and then inquire with planning and zoning and see if there was anything that came through then. I think, Mr. DiCarlo, could you help facilitate that
Yes.
inquiry? I think if we go there and look at the history, right, to see if Mr. Pollard, who absolutely has a phenomenal memory and knows pretty much all the paperwork is filed, if it's not him, most likely it's the engineering team that it went through to go to the DPW, then possibly went to planning or zoning. I think if we could do that inquiry, we'll have a better history on what's going on, and then send it to the DEP and find out, listen, it was applied for and converted to a C1 waterway, and however long ago it was, then we know it changed in this period. So where is that application and what happened, and did it come to the town and were we notified?
Correct. That's a good idea. So, Mr. DiCarlo, you'll follow up with that. Thank you. Sorry, you can cancel out your schedule for the next couple of days.
That just seems to be like a possible process that could have happened, because if Mr. Pollard doesn't have it, it would make sense. Like you said, the engineer would probably have it, and who the engineering team at the time was.
But would it also make sense that the engineer should have been involved in the
100%. 100%.
Administrator, thank you.
But at the same time, if the DEP, if it was a private applicant and the process is it goes through to the DEP from their experts and the town wasn't notified, we need to find that out also, because then was there a misstep and they didn't notify the town that this is happening?
Doesn't negate it, right?
That's, I think we have to look at it. Let's see what we get back.
But an applicant's professional people are going to be tainted.
Oh, no,
to
no.
give opinions to their side, and they may have missed a couple acres of land and nobody's there to check up on it.
And I agree with you. And I think that's why we have to figure out what the process is with the DEP. What happened when it was initially converted to a C1 waterway? What happened when the applicant, the private applicant, I should say, applied for this? Who did it go to? Was the town notified? Did it go before any of our boards? And then I think we'll have a path to the process, and then maybe have some recourse if something transpired that wasn't supposed to.
Right, somebody made a gross mistake, and I'm just asking for transparency on who made the mistake.
Right.
Mike, I would, and Mr. Powell does have an excellent memory. I think, the attorneys that you should look for are the planning or zoning board attorney, because they would probably be more apt to being involved with that, because it's a land use issue, okay? And it's still, the Township of Washington as a municipality would be in charge of that. The other thing I suggest we might look at is, what does the county plan say about the new intersection? They put a big conduit in there, right? So what's on their plans? What does that show? Because that's a recent change, I believe, the applicant's change through or DEP's change, right? So what does the county have on their plans? What do they show that waterway as being? Because it's got to be there, because they put a huge conduit, right? It's got to be at least 4 feet by 3 feet, you would say.
On the county maps as of today, it's showing up as a ditch.
As a ditch.
No waterway.
On the plans?
On the county plans.
The county plans that were submitted for
I had a
this,
surveyor
or
at my
the-
property last month. He says there's no waterway anymore. There's no easement, there's no waterway, it's gone.
And that's on the county plans for our intersection.
And that's like a lot of power in the neighborhood. I'm getting,
Is that true? Is that from the county plans for the?
Well, that's what I
intersection?
was stated from the guy who did my survey.
Okay.
Said there is no waterway. I said, well, what is this? A ditch.
Okay, I would suggest to you, just a suggestion to find out, and I'll suggest to the council, let's look at the county plans that they have for the intersection and see what they rate that waterway as. Because, again, we have 5 different people, you're gonna have 6 different opinions. So I'd like to see what the county sees
Well,
that thing.
my question again is to the council
Right.
president. Can I just get answers on these questions and where this all went? Because there's a lot of
So-
stuff, there's a lot of stuff
Yeah,
happening
but
over
Mr.
there.
DeCarlo's going to be able to
And it
get
doesn't
some
look
of that information.
transparent.
Right, yeah. He's very good at tracking
Council
stuff
President.
down.
Okay,
Sorry.
just,
Can I just,
all right, and then, I'm so sorry, we can respond at this point, but 5 minutes is up.
No, I hear you.
But we can still respond to you. So
Thank
go
you.
ahead,
You
Mr.
want me to say?
DeCarlo. I guess, so you're not tempted to talk.
Morgan, I'm always tempted to talk.
Mr. DeCarlo, go ahead.
if you remember my report, my response to Mr. Agnello was kind of shelving the portion of his concern about the easement till tomorrow. I think it would be a grave injustice to everyone in this room if I tried to recreate what an engineer told me today. But it also is probably going to spark some, debate as to who's wrong or who's right. But the bottom line is, when we met with Mr. Agnello, the engineer strongly believed that there was a mistake back when Mr. Agnello and his neighbors' survey was done. And the investigation so far through Mr. Yakimic and other associates within Boswell Engineering, the best they can find is there never was an easement. I know Mr. Agnello is going to, and I don't want to blame him. I saw the documents myself. I saw his neighbor's document that says there's an easement. However, the best research that we can do shows that there was no easement ever on that property. However, I just, again, I want to get to the bottom of it again with Mr. Yakimic. I think it should be written by him as the professional and not, again, try to be regurgitated by me that's trying to understand it myself, let alone explain to somebody else. He also said that the best way to truly figure it out is to do a title search on the properties. I know that would probably most likely be an expense to Mr. Agnello and his neighbors. So I do want to just convey that we are working on it. There's information that we want to just consolidate tomorrow and get out to Mr. Agnello. As far as the C1 waterway, I just, again, not sarcastically, I just respectfully ask you to understand the scope of what you're asking me to do from years and years of some people that are still here, some that aren't. To recreate what could have happened with a mayor that, is no longer the mayor. You're going to have to give me some time or to investigate why the DEP did something, that's truly going to be difficult. And I don't even know if it's going to be obtainable. So I just, again, ask for everyone to recognize that and just respectfully give me some time. And there might not be a goal that I can reach that is hopeful to be the goal.
Council President?
Yes.
If you want to cut the time in half, figure out when this was changed from a Class C waterway, who changed it? Did it come before the Planning or Zoning Board? Did they vote on it? What was the date it was changed? And then go back to the Planning and Zoning Board Secretary to see, did we receive anything? Did it come before the board? How can it just change a Class 1C waterway and township doesn't know about it? Who benefited? And here's the question, who benefited for changing the Class C waterway?
I agree with your investigative techniques. I'd be happy to have you right there alongside of me.
Well,
for you remember,
Mr. Agnello, you have the information when it was changed? The
it was
Class C
presented
waterway?
to Mr. Sears, it was presented to council. It was presented to council a couple weeks ago. I know it was in your packets. It was a letter that was given. Mr. Pollard, can you help me out with, do you remember
Everybody seems to have a very short memory. You're exactly right. There was a letter issued by DEP, and it looked like somebody that the applicant applied to DEP for on an appeal, and DEP issued their letter, I believe, and said that it was not a C1 waterway. I'm not going to get into this because I don't want somebody start saying that I was involved with the original thing, but I do remember that Chris Steele was the engineer during the time that the C1 waterway was discussed vis-a-vis a previous application, which of course I'm not involved in because I'm not involved with the boards or any of those applications. But he was the one who was involved, and it may very well have been his interpretation that it was a C1 waterway. But the letter that was issued by the DEP, that's the authority. It wasn't done by the planning board or zoning board. It was done by the DEP. So, I think if somebody contacts, well, I'm not going to tell you how to do it, but if you want my help, I'll help you a little bit. But I don't want to get involved because I don't want to be accused of changing it one way or the other, which I never was involved with to begin with.
So you don't want to make a statement?
Maybe if you could just help Mr. DiCarlo with the timelines of when things.
I'll help him. I'll help him. Yeah, I'll help him.
Based on that letter we all got, that's why I think if we go back to the DEP and find out what the paperwork path was, we'll be able to find out what happened.
Right.
That's why I suggested, right?
Stacy, it looks like it was an appeal directly to the DEP. That's what that letter looks like. But
I agree.
I'll talk to Mark about it.
Okay.
Thank you.
And as far as the easement's concerned, I mean, I looked at that myself a little bit. And my question was, okay, it's great that it's on a survey or even 2 surveys, but was it ever on a tax map? Was it ever on a plat? Was there ever a deed of easement? I'd like to see somebody produce all of that there actually was an easement. And again, I'm not involved with that personally, but, for there to be an easement, there had to be some documentation somewhere that it actually existed. And these things don't get released unless somebody is executing a discharge of the easement. And I don't know any execution of any discharge of an easement. So, but Mr. DiCarlo, I guess you're on top of this with Mr. Yakimic about it. And I don't disagree that a title search would answer this pretty quickly, to tell you the truth, but
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Is there anyone else that would like to come up?
Hi. I'm Deborah Agnello, 667 Myston Street. I just have a question. For all these years that we've owned our property, the town owned 10 feet of our easement. So now it doesn't. We weren't able to do anything with that. We would like to have filled it in. So can we do that now? Because what will happen if we fill it in, the water will back up. We have flooding on our property when there's a lot of rain. So if we do, we've wanted to do that all these years because it's a distraction. It's just not, we don't like it there and all of our neighbors. But so if we did fill it in, because now it's our property, what would happen? The water would back up, go into Northgate, go into whatever. So what do we do about that?
I think that
it is a problem.
Yes, Mr. DiCarlo, you could.
Ms. Agnello, I do. I feel for you because I totally understand
we've talked,
meeting with
and
you
I
guys
appreciate everything you've done.
that day and seeing it on your survey. Part of the conversation with Mr. Yakimic tomorrow is to give you an option. Unfortunately, just filling it in is not an option because it would displace the water.
I know we
But
discussed
there
that,
is some
but
idea
it's our
to,
property now.
well, there is some idea to help both. So again, we'll reach out to you tomorrow. So I don't.
And I thank you,
Yeah.
believe me, I do, and we do. So, but I appreciate it. So.
Thank you.
Council President, I just wanted to say, we do have some backup now in Northgate. I think it's because some of that's been filled up. And so Mr. DiCarlo, if you're going to go out there, I'd love to go with you because we're having issues where it backs up not under, but behind the pool into the residential area because that has now there's dirt that's been filled in because it used to flow. I mean, the river starts all the way, not the river, but the stream starts basically, I believe, in Hillsdale by Kings, comes all the way down, comes all the way around. When we get rain, it fills up. I have like a swimming pool in my backyard when I look out the window, but it recedes quickly. and it flows down eventually into Schlegel Lake. That's where that goes. But because there's now, it's filled in, we see a difference in Northgate. So exactly what the Agnellos are referencing, it's weird. They can't fill it in. I'm not saying I'm not an engineer, but I'm saying, you're right. What you said is 110% correct. So I think that's got to be looked at too. When did that happen? Because Northgate never had that issue either.
So, Council President, if I can just respond to that. So part of our tour that day with Meissen was also Northgate, and going back there with DPW and Mr. Yakimic. From what I understand, we've already been working with the Homeowners Association of Northgate. I don't want to say there's non-compliance, but we're trying to get them to comply. I don't know.
Okay, so if you need help with that, let me know.
Okay, so I did speak to Mr. Pollard about it, and the suggestion was to try and meet with them and
Work on
explain to them. So I guess to try and explain it is there's somewhat of a retention pond there that is over the years has just filled up. So again, just as an example, maybe it used to be 10 feet deep, which would, at that depth, it wouldn't run down into the waterway that goes through Meissen's backyards until it reached the level of the storm drain that's there. Now it just constantly flows because sediment has just built up over the years. So now maybe it's only 2 feet deep. So the water constantly runs. So ultimately what we need Northgate to do is to dig out that sediment and create a retention pond like it used to be.
Okay, that
But
shouldn't be a
again, I'm
problem.
just using those feet at that depth
No,
as an
yeah.
example.
Right, no, that's a good point. So, because it does it's very mucky back there, I agree.
So the water just constantly runs.
Yeah, but we are getting more backup, right? So, but I know that it did used to flow better. It's not.
Okay. Is there anyone else that would like to come up? You can come up.
Peter Calamari, 170 Pond Drive. I want to say I think it's a shame that I'm forced to come down here and speak from the pulpit as a citizen, that I have lost my mayor, what I like to call a privilege of being able to join the council in their discussion. But I would like to point out two things, both along the same line of fairness. People from 450, who, we all know who they are, they're quite limited to their 5 minutes. Now, you just let people discuss a drainage issue for 15 minutes from one speaker. So it seems like we're cherry picking. If we don't like a certain topic, we hold those people for their timeline. If we do like a certain topic, we let those people discuss way past their 5 minutes. Second thing is a couple of council people were referenced tonight for speaking outside of closed. I'm not going to say whether I agree or disagree, but I would ask that you all be held to the same standard. To me, writing a letter to the newspaper is also potentially discussing what was said in a closed session. So if we're going to hold the council accountable, let's hold everyone accountable to the same standard. I'm stating this all as a resident because, again, my mayor thing to talk has been, withdrawn tonight. I hope we can get past it. This was done to me once before early in my mayorship, and, I don't appreciate it. I think it shows very poorly on the council. Thank you.
Okay, you may want to stay since it's a discussion. Okay, so my response to that is, and Sue, you can back me up, nobody got more than 5 minutes. We were stopping and starting and stopping and starting, were we not?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to just scratch that right there. Second is, I don't know why you were at the podium. You asked to speak and we're moving on with the agenda. So what I don't appreciate is if I don't follow your agenda, you punish me. Okay, this is all punishment. Trying to sour what I did with the public, doesn't look well for you. It doesn't look good. So don't reach. I was not being unfair to anyone. I'm fair, and that is sometimes not the most popular thing to do, but I am fair. I cannot say the same about you. We're going to continue.
I'll let the residents decide.
That's fine. Let them decide. Is there anyone else that would like to come up? Mr. Alderman.
Michael Ullman, 2 Clark Avenue. First, Mr. DiCarlo, You did have the right email address. I just didn't reply, so my apologies for that. I do appreciate the update on that issue. I still don't understand how these financial documents get signed off and traverse multiple hands and no one checks them. But, that's, I guess, another issue. Do we have a finance director? I looked on the website, I didn't see one, and I was wondering, do we have a finance director? Resolution 22-160, a change order for approximately $18K. Do we know what that is with reference to?
What was that that change order?
It's the latest change order 14?
Yes,
For $18,000. What is it specifically?
That is for and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. DiCarlo, that is for the electrical, plumbing, and something at the ESB. For the monument area is one of the bill items, correct?
Yes, irrigation brought to the monument, electric conduit and trench
Okay.
to bring electricity over to the commuter lot, and also the extension of the retaining wall that was behind the old fire department building in order to match the block retaining wall to the steel-driven wall.
So just in terms of doing work at the monument area, does that mean that we're investing in the monument area, and do we have a plan for the Red House lot, or is that not been determined at this point in time? Because it seems like we're putting money into the monument, and if we're going to move the monument to account for the red lot, or the Red House, excuse me, why would we be investing that money? Is it money that we should retain and invest it when it's the grand plan is complete? Because we don't seem to have, or at least I haven't seen
Where that's going.
where it's going. And then the last question is, I would have thought that we as the town who have spent, by any accounting, $5-6 million with a contractor or contractors, that if there is a defect in the roadway that is causing problems, causing a potential safety issue, I don't know if it is, but definitely a nuisance to residents, and it's acknowledged that there's a problem, why are we waiting to have it fixed? I mean, after $6 million, tell them we want it fixed tomorrow. And I understand Mr. DiCarlo is new to this, newer to the process, newer to the town. And it's not attack on him. It's more an attack on, what the hell is going on here? After $6 million, I would think that if the trench is failing and it's collapsing on itself, that someone should go out there, scrape off the asphalt, refill it, repack it, and re-asphalt it. And when, we get the Washington Ave resurfaced, it'll be resurfaced. I don't understand why we're waiting weeks upon weeks to have it addressed. We know there's an issue. We spend a lot of money. They have failed. Someone has failed or not done their job right, and we should demand that it gets corrected. I'm at a loss as to why we wait weeks and weeks for things like this to be resolved.
Okay, I think that Mr. DiCarlo intends to speak with him tomorrow, and things may change. I'm not sure, right? Didn't you say earlier you were going to talk to?
I do. If you don't mind, I can answer some of those questions.
Problem.
Mr. Allman, again, I don't know if this trench is taking on a life of its own. It's not a pothole. It's not collapsing on itself. It's not a safety. It definitely is a nuisance to the residents. I can give you that. I was out there myself, with the engineer and a couple of the firemen, just like Council President had said a couple weeks ago. And you don't hear it when cars are going over it, but when a big truck does. So essentially kind of what it is imagine a small speed bump.
Okay.
So it's not caving in on itself, it's elevated pavement. I can't give you an explanation as to why it's making sounds on those big trucks. We will go out tomorrow. You know, I took their word for it that when they told me the plan of coinciding the fix to the paving of the lot, is a reasonable idea. Now, hearing it more from the residents, I certainly will speak with them tomorrow.
Okay.
The commuter lot, there was, you know, it was up in the air a little bit where the monument was going to have its final resting place, correct? And the
I can't comment, Mark. I'd like to, but I can't.
and the position of the generator pad was up in the air. So now that all those final decisions have been made, that's how we're discovering, you know, I don't want to say the problem with the retaining wall, but the absence of some of the segment between the two, and, you know, bringing the conduit over. So where the red house was torn down is going to be the conceptual design. Again, I have a meeting with John Yakimic tomorrow, not only for some of the easement issues and the drainage issues, but it's to discuss the final conceptual idea of the commuter lot. So yes, that is going to be developed, and that part of this change order is to prep the area for electricity for lighting for the commuters in that area.
So, is the commuter lot, is it going to be commuter lot monument red house, or is the monument moving out?
The monument is essentially going to be in the same area, just smaller and brought closer to the roadway so it can be enjoyed by passerbyers, or if they have ceremonious drive-bys, things like that. It's seen as opposed to being in the back of the lot where it would not be seen.
So is the red house lot now factored into, is it going to be paved? Is it going to be accessible for commuters to park, or is it still undecided on what that's going to be?
No, I hope I'm not
50 seconds
misspeaking,
left.
but I believe it is going to be part of the commuter lot.
Okay,
Yes.
all right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to come up? Is there anyone online?
No.
Okay. Motion to close public comment.
So move.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Okay, adoption, second reading, ordinance number 23-01. An ordinance establishing the cost of tree replacement arising from approved developments within the Township of Washington. Resolution number 23-156, authorizing second reading and opening of public hearing for ordinance 23-01. May I have a motion?
Second.
Okay. So roll call.
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilwoman Feeney.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council President Morgan.
Yes. Any discussion?
Open the hearing.
We're opening public, right?
Yep, opening
Yep.
public hearing on it.
Yep. No? It's open. No motion to close.
Yeah,
So moved.
Mike, I think Michael.
Oh, you have a question? I'm sorry. Come on up. I'm so sorry.
I was just gonna say, did you pass?
I did. I said any discussion.
There was some, I think, nobody heard.
Oh,
Just, how is this going to be monitored? What's the mechanism for monitoring and ensuring that it's upheld or followed? And the reason I ask, I don't even know if I may have mentioned it last time, but at one point I was on I don't know if it was zoning or planning, and, you know, we had quite a few applications where there was a requirement to do work on the property, to replace trees, to put trees up, and there was no mechanism to follow up with that. So we would pass a resolution. Within a year, it had to occur. There was no mechanism to follow up. We had asked that a sort of a tickler be put in place where the engineer, the planning board engineer, or could go and follow up. I don't believe that was ever put in place.
Excuse me, ladies.
Sorry.
Oh.
Sorry.
So I guess my question, it's great that we're doing it. I think, it's a positive step, but like what's the mechanism? It's great we're passing an ordinance, but have we put the process in place to enforce it? Or are we just passing another ordinance?
So that's a very good question. I guess we're going to have to defer to how is the ordinance written? How are we? Yes, please.
Yeah. All right, well, this ordinance has nothing to do with, implementation and enforcement and oversight. It has to do with establishing the validity of the fund itself, which is like step number one. So that's what it's really for. It's because there's been a requirement that at least on one occasion for monies to be posted for trees, but there was no ordinance and there was no Chapter 59 resolution. So that's what this ordinance does. Now, as far as the mechanism for enforcement, I agree. It definitely should be enforced. It needs to be discussed. I mean, my view is that it's the engineer that really should be doing that in terms of the trees being planted, not being planted, and so on and so forth. As far as collecting money, it would be no different than any other monies that have to be posted. So I think that's kind of almost a self-enforcing situation. But the purpose of this ordinance is just to get that fund to be legitimized, actually. So the money can be collected in the first instance. And I will say that it's important that it actually be implemented as soon as possible, given that there are applications pending and these issues will be coming up in terms of trees and funds. So just wanted to make sure that
Enforcement's going to go to planning. With planning, if somebody's planning on taking trees out, then they can say, what did we say, 200 a tree? Am I wrong? Right, Mr. Sears?
I don't remember.
350 a tree, sorry. Then they'll be the ones to enforce it in the agreement with whoever's coming before them, has been my experience. So they're the ones who are going to fund the trust. So that's, and it'll be part of that plan.
We also added, if I may, Council President, we also added a checklist for when the contractor comes. He has to supply a full diagram of his landscaping plan for the board to approve or disapprove. And then it goes to the township engineer at the time we're doing the planning board to follow up and come back to the council that it's been followed.
In your experience, has that happened?
Yes.
They've come back after a year and said everything is in?
After the job has been closed out, we do a follow-up. I know I do a follow-up because I write it down.
Yeah, and the attorney for the planning board's been following up to make sure that it's actually in the agreement with whoever's coming before them.
Okay.
You get their COO.
Thank you for your question. Is there anyone else that would like to discuss? No. Okay, motion to close public hearing for ordinance 23-01.
So moved.
Second.
Sue, roll call.
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilwoman Feeney.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council President Morgan.
Yes. Motion to adopt ordinance number 23-01 at second reading by title.
So moved.
Second.
Sue, roll call.
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilwoman Feeney.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council President Morgan.
Yes. Okay, individual resolution number 23-157, authorized 2022 transfer of appropriations for $48,000. May I have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second. Roll call.
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilwoman Feeney?
Yes.
Councilman Sears?
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez?
Yes.
Council President Morgan?
Yes. Resolution consent agenda. The following items have been determined to have the unanimous consent of council and will be enacted in one motion. Should any item require independent consideration, any council member may have such item removed from the consent agenda. Does anyone have any resolutions to be removed from consent agenda for discussion?
Yes, just need to have the bill list removed for a separate vote.
Okay.
Which one was that? I'm sorry.
23,158,
First one.
first one, yes.
Oh, okay.
165.
Okay. Any others? Okay. Resolution number 23-159, resolution number 23-160, resolution number 23-161, resolution number 23-162, resolution number 23-163, resolution number 23-164, resolution number 23-166, and resolution number 23-167. Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call?
Can I make one comment real quick?
Yeah.
Just so you all know, the amended schedule for the 2023 council meetings went from June 19th, instead of going to June 20th, because there is a zoning board meeting, I believe, that night, and making both of us change the schedule,
It's that Wednesday.
I went to the 21st. So this way we'll meet on a Wednesday in June.
Okay.
Okay?
Sounds like a plan.
Okay. So roll call?
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilwoman Feeney.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council President Morgan.
Yes. Okay. Resolution number 23-158,
Motion.
motion to discuss.
No, I just
Oh,
need a
motion
separate
to-
vote,
Oh, okay.
unless someone else wants to discuss, sorry.
Okay. Everyone okay with the bills?
Yes.
Okay, motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Sue, roll call? Or should I just do the next one too? Oh, no, she
No,
can't. She
no,
can't.
it's a
Roll
vote.
call, yeah.
Councilman
Mhm.
Casio.
Yes.
Councilwoman Feeney.
I recuse myself.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council President Morgan.
Yes. Resolution number 23-165, may I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Discussion?
So, moving forward with accepting this particular grant, which is all fine and good, it's a nice chunk of change. We have the grant writer. This can only be used for that property, correct? That we're aware
You
of?
want to come up to the podium? Yeah. Thank you. And just state your name and who you are.
David Biono, GLD Associates.
Thank you.
David, with this particular grant, it's only utilized for the one parcel of land, correct?
I'm sorry?
It can only be utilized for one parcel of property, correct?
Well, there's two lots there. There's a 6.5 acre lot.
Right. The two adjoining properties, the swim club, this to,
I think,
for
are
lack of
you
a better term.
are you basically saying like you can't take the money and then use it for something else?
Yes, that's basically what I'm
Okay,
saying, but
okay.
I'm saying, that is the question. But I guess to further the question, when it's dispersed to the township, where is it dispersed to? Is it in the general fund?
Yes, it goes back to your general fund. You already bought the property.
Mhm.
This money would go back into the general fund or whatever fund you used to purchase it originally. It's reimbursement.
It's a reimbursement.
Right. There's no
So-
restriction on it. You can use it for any legitimate municipal expenditure.
Okay,
Not just this property.
so
Not just this.
it could be used in.
No, you can't, it's not to be used for this property. You already bought it. They're giving you some of the money back so you can do whatever you want.
So it's not necessarily to build on it to make it perfect and beautiful, whatever, using that money.
Well, when
It's just
you-
going into your
When you
account.
take the money, you're agreeing to the conservation and recreation easement for that property. You can't then turn around and say you're going to do something else with the property.
Stay with the property. It has to stay within the property.
It has to stay within the property, yes.
Okay.
No, it goes.
No.
Not
it
the
goes-
money, but
No.
the
It
use.
goes,
the
it
use-
goes into a general fund,
Right,
right?
that's the.
And the restriction
obligation.
is,
You have a fiduciary obligation if you take the money to, and it'll be recorded with an easement specifically for recreation purposes. So when you have to look at this, and maybe I should have mentioned this at the last meeting, is that should you decide not to take this $438,000, you're not just giving up $438,000. When I made the presentation before the committee in Hackensack and on the site visits, they made it abundantly clear that this is going to be sort of a marriage for a couple of years. They readily expect us to come back in the next funding round for park development funds. So we're getting the money back for recreation purposes. But now we have the ability in the next round to go for development funds. It's been my experience in Bergen County and other municipalities, specifically Garfield and Lyndhurst. We could probably get over the next 2 or 3 years grants of about $100,000 a year, or maybe more, depending on how we package it and the use requirements, in addition to this $438,000 to develop that property. I also have to express that when you go on a project, you're not going to get one grant that's going to cover everything.
Sure.
And my expertise has always been, we package a couple of grants to try to achieve the result. For example, we're applying for $68,000 from Community Affairs for a local recreation grant. That's one of the first things we want to do because it's going to help us assess the property for future use, what we can do it for. Now, if in fact we go forward and we accept the money, and then we do some testing and assessment engineering and decide that, well, you know what, we can't use it for what we want, we can give the money back and remove the deed restriction, and we're free to do whatever we want. So there's no risk here other than the fact that we're going to be seeking funds to assess the property and develop it properly. But the risk that you do run is that you're going to void an ability to get a couple $100,000 more in park development funds. And I'm also listening now this debate over PASCAC, and I'm not interjecting myself into what you want to do with it or not. But should you decide to purchase this property, the next funding round is going to be coming out probably in April. We can simultaneously go for additional acquisition funding to help defray the cost of purchasing that property, as well as a second application for the development of the swim club property. So you have to look at the big picture here. And if you were to not accept this acquisition money, it really puts you at the bottom of the list, end of the line, to go for additional acquisition or even park development funds. And we're looking at a variety of other programs also to develop this property. So I hope that answers your question.
It does.
It does.
Thank you.
It answers.
Thank you very much. I actually wish you were at the meetings more often for things like this. You very much make it very clear. So I appreciate that.
Okay,
Thank you.
I intend to be here.
Good. Excellent. Okay, so are we ready to vote on that one?
I just want to thank him very much for coming and, basically that's what we've been saying all along. Councilwoman West and I have been saying, we can take the money, we get reimbursement for what we were intended. We have many avenues to utilize this money in parks and recreation and open space. So it's very positive to hear that you're, based on what we've researched and read, that that's what the ability is, because it's only going to benefit us long term. And then either building that roadmap with the grant committee and the state is really phenomenal, because then they see what we're trying to do, and hopefully we can utilize it in other areas too. So the fact that they want to work with us that way is really a great partnership.
Thanks, man. I mean, I've been doing this for a while, and you really have an opportunity to put a tremendous package together for this property over a couple of years of financing to do this.
Right.
Can I just want to ask you a couple more questions, so you may as well stay there. Go ahead.
Okay, I guess my question is, and I don't think it involves you, but I mean, in order for me to say yes to this, I hate to not obtain money for the township, but what would make me real comfortable is when we accept this award, which we're going to do tonight, okay, that we take this funding of $438,000 and put it in a control line item when we do the budget. That's only going to be spent on that property, for that property owner.
That's not accurate. No. No, this
How's it
money-
not, how's that not accurate?
That money comes back to your treasury. You can
Right.
do whatever you want with it.
Exactly. So it goes into the treasury,
Right.
and then the township can make a line item using that particular money in the eventuality as a control item anywhere we want it to.
Yes.
Yes.
And if you go with the open space park improvement grants, as opposed to the acquisition, there's a 50% cash match. So
Right.
if we put an application for $400,000, 200,000 has to come out of the township's money. So you have that money there banked.
Well,
so
that's
to
why we
speak.
put it in a control item, because I don't want to be taking that money that we use to offset the purchase of the property to use it in any other area.
Yeah, but the other part you have to factor in too now. Again, leverage, the whole thing is leveraging one grant against the other. If we're lucky, well, if we win the $68,000 from community affairs,
Right.
that counts towards the park development 50% match. So
Correct. Well, then you have 50, the 68, you got the match already with part of the 438, right?
correct.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So it's a win-win situation.
That's what I would want to do if we accept the grant, is to give a control item for that particular amount for the swim club, so it cannot be utilized in other areas for other things.
And you don't have to, like I said.
You don't have to, but that's, if it goes into the general fund, then
It would be smart to plan that way.
It would be smart to
Strongly
plan that,
recommend it, because
exactly.
I'm very confident you're going to get additional funding for park development.
May I ask you a question, Council President?
Yes.
I know, Dave, you're probably sick of me saying, look at this grant, look at that grant, because I'm always looking for grants. But I'm really appreciate you coming tonight and giving me a clear view on how this money can go and what we have in the future that we can take or receive. It's interesting that there's so much money out there. And I know you're tired of me sending you emails, look at this grant, look at this grant. But thank you for coming tonight and like clearing the picture here. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Okay, resolution.
else?
No, we're good for right now. Resolution number 23-165, authorize the mayor to execute a grant agreement for the acquisition of open space property block 2301, lot 1, and block 2401, lot 1.01 from the 2022 funding round of the Bergen County Open Space Recreation Floodplain Protection, Farmland, and Historic Preservation Trust Fund in the amount of $438,750. Motion
moved.
to, okay.
So move.
Second.
Some of,
Okay. Sue, roll call, please. You got that first and second, right?
Yeah,
Motion and a second.
kind of, I
think
can
it was
just
Stacy
read
and-
this. Okay. Councilman Casio.
I
Yes.
didn't scream it.
Councilwoman Feeney.
Yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council President Morgan.
Yes.
Very happy, very happy, very good.
Okay.
No, it's-
I know, I'm sorry, I didn't do that.
Just go in public.
Oh, yes.
Wanna do
This
that
one here?
now?
Good to-
Yeah.
good
Okay, we're going to do an introduction, first reading. Mhm. An ordinance establishing parking restrictions on portions of Wayne Place and White Birch Road. Motion to introduce and pass ordinance number 23-02 at first reading by title. May I have a motion?
Motion.
A second?
Second,
Sue, roll call.
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilwoman Feeney.
yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council President Morgan.
Yes. Resolution number 23-168, authorizing publication of ordinance number 23-02 and schedule public hearing.
So move.
Second,
Sue, roll call.
Councilman Casio.
Yes.
Councilwoman Feeney.
yes.
Councilman Sears.
Yes.
Councilwoman Velez.
Yes.
Council President Morgan.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, Mr. Conference agenda.
Yep. Okay, we're going to adjourn into conference agenda. Oh.
5 minute break, maybe?
Yeah, does anyone need a break?
I do.
All right, we're going to take a 5-minute.
Too bad you
Motion
call
to
you
go
help
to
me and ask him
conference?
about.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
make
motion to go into conference, sorry. Second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Mr. Pollard, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
There you go. No, it's all good.
Okay, we're going to move to ordinances and legislation. Finnerty Place, we could just take it off of the agenda here because I was just going to ask for the follow-up, which we already did.
Just so I can be clear on this, you want the ordinance to be prepared for no parking or standing on the south side of Finnerty Place the entire length, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And no standing, right? Mhm.
I just said no parking and no standing.
Oh, okay.
On the one side, right?
Yes.
I didn't
Okay.
either. I'm gonna blame it on COVID brain still. We did 2 already. We did Wayne Place, White Birch Road, restricted parking. Oh, no, we didn't. Did we do that?
Yeah,
we talked about it.
We
with,
agreed, but we
Rich.
just,
You just introduced the ordinance.
I know, but we don't have any more. We can't discuss. We already did it. Okay. Master plan land uses,
Yeah,
or
that
50 pounds.
that was mine. We'll be out of here real quick if we just do mine too real quick.
Okay.
So I asked Sue to send everyone or have everyone look at the master plan that we've had, our last 2 master plans, and about the different zones we have and land uses. Because I think sometimes we get a little, I guess, confused on what it says. So just please look over the different areas that we all have concern about and what it is currently listed as in the master plan.
Okay, we know master plans change, but that's up to the planning board. So just refresh yourself with that. So when we talk about it, we know exactly what properties or in a general idea of what's zoned where, okay? Especially the 2 properties that we're currently discussing. And then the other one under miscellaneous was the property tax saving and economic development program. With the council's permission, I'd like to bring a representative from the company to come in and talk about it instead of me reiterating it to you.
Yep, sounds
If
great.
that's okay with the council.
It
So
is.
there's some things I was confused about, so I don't want to pass along bad information. So I'd like to have them come in next time or in the future to discuss it.
Yes.
I'd like to get that up and running as quickly as possible. Other than that, I have nothing else.
Sounds great. Just have Sue put it on the agenda. That's fine.
Okay. As soon as I get the.
Okay.
Just a question. You said the 2 going back to the master plan, you said the 2 properties. Can you just state what those 2 properties are? So,
Well, one was 450 and any
Okay.
other properties that we were looking at in the future. If we're looking at any other properties,
okay.
specifically 450, because that's the one we're really.
Okay, so just
Yeah, right now,
450 and any future properties.
Any future properties.
Okay,
should
I
say.
didn't know what that
Not one
said.
specifically other than 450,
Okay,
okay?
just wanted to clarify that.
We do have and maybe you want to look and see what properties that we still do have out there
Mhm.
that may be of interest to us or our own properties.
Is there a list
Is it-
available somewhere of like, I know we have little pieces of parcels.
Yeah, so we had that a couple of months ago. We highlighted all the parcels that we own, right? And I know of 2 other properties on Pascack Road that are up for sale that are pretty big tracts that are together with each other. So if you go on a site like Zillow, you can see everything that's up for sale. So some of those might be of interest to the,
Okay.
just to get an idea of what's out there and what they're zoned as at the present time. That's all.
May I make a comment on something in the package?
Sure, sir.
Okay, I just want to comment about the new our code official, Dino D. DiVigio. Didn't get that out. Yeah.
Virgilia.
Yeah, I got that.
Dino.
I don't think we're supposed to say names.
Yeah,
No names.
No.
No names.
Code official.
Performance. Can't
Code
put a
official.
name and put
Without a raise.
together.
Okay,
Right.
so let me comment on the code official's report. It looks like he's on top of everything. He definitely follows up and he gives us a report every month, which is nice to see.
Yes, yes.
So thank you,
That is great. Thank you, code official.
code official.
All right. We're gonna adjourn. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
No closed?
No close.
Second.
Right, Mr. Pollard, I'm not missing anything. There's no close.
You are correct.
Okay, so we got a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.